It's time for the second series here on group stage, day number 3, Riyadh Masters. We're getting underway with the top of the group versus the bottom of the group right now. Fancy?
راح نبدا الجيم الثاني الان في رياض ماسترز في اليوم الثالث من الجروب ستيج. اعزائنا المشاهدين الجيم هذا مره مهم لانه راح نواجه الجيم او المباراه الاولى شفناها كانت شوي ستامب، لكن الثانيه احتمال تتكرر الكره لانه الفريق الاول يكون هو الافضل في الجروب والفريق الثاني هو الاخر في الجروب.
One of the teams had a very cold day yesterday. I think they call themselves TSM during the play-ins. I think at this point they would just be content for one of those.
زي ما شفنا أعزائنا المشاهدين واحد من الفريقين هذا زي ما احنا عارفين امس انتهى فيهم المطاف في اخر جيم، واجهوا تالون واضطروا انهم يخسرون الجيم 2-0. كان اخر يوم عندنا او اخر مباراه عندنا في اليوم، فما ادري صراحه اذا الشيء هذا خلاهم يغيرون من وجهه نظرهم في هالبطوله او جيتهم اليوم راح يغير شيء، ما ادري صراحه.
And on the other end, it's looking like we might have a new king of China in town. Everyone expected it to be PSGLG. Who was your favorite again, Fancy?
Never mind.
No.
زي ما قلنا أعزائنا المشاهدين في بداية البث أنا قلت إنه PSGLG دي هم اللي ممكن يأخذون الفوز. أبي الشيء هذا يصير باك تو باك تشامبيونز، لكن ما أتوقع إنه الشيء هذا بيصير لأنه حاليا هم في آخر فريق في الجروب حقهم، لكن الفريق الثاني خصمهم وبنشوف إيش اللي ممكن يسوونه في المباراة، بس الآن جاهزين نقدم الفرق.
Well, yesterday we brought them out at the end of the day. Let's see if this team might fare a little bit better. Now it's the afternoon. TSM! Last night was a rough loss for this team against Talon. That was near the end of the day. And near the end of a day, we're thinking that you've got your energy back. North America is looking to make a resurgence right about now.
TSM تواجدوا معنا في المسرح بالأمس، انتهى يومهم بشكل سيء جدا. فرصتهم الآن للتعويض والوصول إلى البلاي أوفز، احتمال تكون هذه آخر فرصة لهم أعزائنا المشاهدين، لأنهم بعد ما لو خسروا المباراة هذه وكرروا اللي سواه في نهاية الأمس يمكن ما نشوفهم بعد اليوم. فكرة مخيفة صراحة، لكن خصمهم جاهز، خلينا نتعرف عليهم. الفريق الأول في مجموعتهم تيم أستر. تيم أستر هذا الفريق الآن هو الأول في مجموعته. بالأمس ورونا بأفضل الدوت اللي شاهدناها من فترة جدا طويلة. هذا الفريق بعد ما دخل سميل إله وأيضا كاكا أدائهم تغير بشكل جدا رهيب. زي ما قالها فيث في الاستوديو التحليلي قبل قليل، كان يتكلم على موضوع إنه يوم كاكا دخل معاهم دخلوا الهانيمون جديد وأدائهم صار يتحسن في كل مرة يلعبون فيها.
Most other teams would get thrown off by such a last-minute roster change, but Kaka's a veteran to the scene. Even bringing him in doesn't really throw any team off balance, just solidifies it. And as we heard from Sumail earlier in the tournament, it seems like communication's not even an issue amongst the players who can speak Chinese. They're all talking more than ever before.
سميل كان يتكلم معنا في المقابلة وتحدثنا عن نقطة جدا مهمة اللي هي الكوميونيكيشن للفريق، خصوصا بتواجده هو معهم وهو ما يفهم اللغة الصينية. الشيء هذا ممكن يعيق أدائهم، لكن الشيء اللي احنا جالسين نشوفه منهم انه بالعكس أدائهم صار يصير أفضل وصار الكوميونيكيشن بينهم أفضل ويتطور في كل مرة يتواجدون فيها على المسرح.
It's game time, my friends. Take your seats. Let's get this underway.
خلونا نبدأ في الجيم هذا. الفرصة الأخيرة لتي اس ام. تيم أستر يحافظون على مكانهم ولا لا؟ خلونا نشهد على طول ايش اللي ممكن يصير مع الاستوديو.
The team with 5 Dota 2 regions represented in TSM, they are looking to get points on the board. They are on the chopping block today. Yesterday, they went 0-4 after only getting ties on that first day. And we'll see if they get any points out of Aster, though, because they are coming prepared. They are actually looking pretty good to be on top of their group with a 6-2. They actually were able to 2-0 2 of their opponents so far, and of course they're looking to do the same here. What will happen, we'll have to wait for the draft to begin, which will be momentarily. So we already established, we are looking to see if there can be a Storm Spirit on the side of TSM, and we just want TSM to be on a comfortable playing style. But I think there's one thing that we have to remember, Effie, when we're looking at especially the TSM roster. The experience for playing on stage, just in general, for most of the players, is very limited.
I mean, a lot of these players are pretty new. I mean, Tomato has been around forever, like we saw, but Bryle has some experience racked up in the last couple of years, but it doesn't compare to a team like Aster, who've been seasoned for 5, 6, 7 years of playing, right? Especially a player like XXS, who is so stable on LAN. But there is Whiteman, who has seen his fair share of international tournaments, so hopefully he can step up to the plate in this game.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We're in the draft. We got Aster on the Radiant side. They got first pick. We got TSM on the Dire side with second pick. So far, only Broodmother removed from the pool. And I'm always... Oh, that was it sounded like a pause almost, because I'm always a little nervous when a team has to go into bonus time for one of their first bans, because normally that's Faith Beyond. That's where you practice, right? I would imagine if you were practicing drafts, the opening bans and picks are things you can run several times and have that prepared.
Yeah. Every tournament, big tournament game start before. I think every team will prepare for draft. They will draft in team for several times to see what beginning is better. Now they banned out all Snapfire and the Storm Spirit, and they give also with IO to Aster. I don't think it's a good option because Storm and IO both are TSM's heroes.
Yeah.
Also, so I kind of worry about them right now.
They wanted to take it away from them, but also Timbersaw is left in the pool for Aster, who they have building their drafts down in the first phase, so I hope they have some solutions prepared. And if they are prepping for a potential Timbersaw, Batrider is one of the better ones.
It has to be a Lesh. Like, both these teams play IO Lesh. TSM has 7 wins total throughout this entire tournament, and 4 of those are with IO Lesh, and they're 4-0 with it. They haven't lost a single game. So I think Aster came into this series knowing they had to prioritize IO at a much higher level. Terrorblade is a pretty good carry against Lesh, even though he's like Illusion Hero on paper. He has like a ranged Scotty builder, but I think you still just pick it here. I think you just slam it.
I think I might be seeing this before, like just pick Terrorblade for Timado and hope he can carry you. But it's a good pick here because maybe they will pick Lashrak, and TB is very good against the Lashrak, so yeah,
also,
makes sense.
Because it's one of his best heroes, like you mentioned, and it's a Scotty buyer, seeing the IO is enough of a reason to pull out the Terrorblade before it can get banned out in the second phase. Because no matter what heal strat you go for, TB is going to be effective with his itemization.
Well, it definitely maybe threw Aster a little bit off with the Terrorblade pick. They're taking their time to think about what combination with the IO they want to go for, and they actually end up going for the Slark.
I thought they might go Naga, but that's less of a hero that synergizes with IO and just more good against both of what TSM has. Out of all the heroes in the carry pool that counter TB, I'd say usually TB is countered by offlaners and mids, but the carries that deal with him are ones that are hard for him to hit. Either illusion heroes, because he's single target damage himself, or heroes like Slark and Void, who are ever elusive in these fights, can force you to pop meta and then disengage. So also, you have the Dark Pact against the Batrider. I'm always down for a Slark pick as well.
I'm biased.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I know you like that hero a lot. So good. It's unusual to have both of the carries picked this early. I mean, we did see Naga first phase previous game that we watched here, and it didn't work out. But yeah, we now know that there is a Terrorblade versus Slark, and that's gonna make it maybe a little bit extra interesting to see where the bans go, because I feel like we can learn a lot from the bans, because we're basically gonna see the teams ban out the heroes that they think are good against the carries they chose. So we now know that Aster values an Axe versus Slark and an Enigma versus Slark, whereas TSM values the Legion Commander versus the Terrorblade. Are there any other bans we need to see come out against these carries, Effie?
I mean, yeah, they're just going to go for the standard Protect. I like the Elsie ban a lot in particular, not just because Elsie has a good lane versus Terrorblade, but because of the Dispel against the Lasso. That makes it a lot easier for Aster to take these fights. Also, another thing we didn't mention was Slark's Shard is super good versus Batrider and very good versus Terrorblade in these extended team fights, especially if you're going to pick another melee hero from the mid lane. Something like a Primal Beast, potentially. You never know. Heroes like that really benefit from playing with a Slark.
Now,
Timbersaw's still also in the pool.
yeah, and now because both team pick carry very earlier, so every ban will leave to like post 3 or post 2. Now everybody is banning offlaner, so I think both team they don't have so many choice on offlaner hero, so.
I mean, there's the #1 offlaner to talk about versus Terrorblade, which is Darkseer.
Yeah.
If they don't ban out the Darkseer here on the side of TSM, they could be trying to take it for themselves. Because TB versus Darkseer is one of Darkseer's best matchups. And the Surge is an excellent tool to play versus Batrider. So, I mean, I can't imagine they'd give it away so easily.
Maybe they want to pick it up for themselves. Is that an option?
Yeah. I think you have to, because you also have to consider Lesh. Like, Lesh is still in the pool. Lesh still the deadliest combo I've seen yet this tournament, so I was thinking like Legion would have been a decent pick for TSM. Like they could have done that instead, but if they're going for the Darkseer approach where they want Darkseer themselves, that's an okay matchup against Slark as well, but I also like would prefer Legion myself, so I'm curious to see. I think this next pick for TSM's ultra important because they only have so many bans to protect this TB, and I think there's still a couple problematic heroes left.
Well, they end up having to remove the Timbersaw, but they will pick up the Darkseer, but it does leave the Leshrac in the pool, like you said, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know if any of this is enough to dissuade it. The thing about Darkseer is he does just naturally build the Pipe Auras, which makes the Bloodstone heal much less potent. Is it enough? I feel like IO Lesh is so busted that if a team knows how to play it, you kind of just got to respect it and get it out, but we'll see.
But at least I think it's a not bad choice. You can ban out Timbersaw, and you can also don't need to worry about Darkseer right now, and you have a strong team fight.
It limits the options for XSS for sure.
Yeah.
I think Aster may potentially take the magic damage approach to the Terrorblade through either Sky or Lion.
Sorry.
The man is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the magic damage approach to killing TB in the early game through your supports is a really nice one. The 3 supports that are excellent at this are Lion, Scarith Mage, or Dark Willow, but of course Lion is the Kaka specialty. It's also just a great hero to clear TB illusions when he's using his illusions to push out lanes. You can Hex, you can Mana Drain, so it looks pretty solid.
Now, we did say earlier, Faithian, the Lion might not always be doing so well on the side of Aster, even if Kaka likes the hero a lot.
I mean, I definitely have faith in Kaka's Lion, and they not picking Lion for a while, and so I think in this game now they are trying hard mode.
Yeah, they're ready.
He has energy for
Yeah.
No, but it is a good. It's a good game to have like a Lion Shard and clearing all of these illusions because there's a lot of them coming out of TSM, right? It's not just the TB, but the Darkseer will.
Yeah, I'm wondering how potent Darkseer looks as a hero when there's no illusion on the enemy team that's particularly good. Like none of these heroes, you're like, oh, I got a Slark illusion. Doesn't get Essence Shift or anything like that, so we'll see. I know the team fight for TSM is racking up with the Tombstone as well as the wall, but what I like so much about this Mars pick is that TSM was relying a lot on just walking around. They have Surge, they have Batrider, Firefly, Terrorblade as a hero is pretty fast as well, and suddenly like that's when Arena's the best. Usually Batrider, Darkseer, they don't want to buy BKBs, and right now like this is going to allow Team Aster to really commit and pick and choose the fights they want.
All right, let's see what kind of offliners or, well, if it's offliners, let's see what kind of heroes are going to be banned out, because we have the Primal Beast banned out actually as a mid laner. It seems like we are looking for a hero for Bryle on the side of TSM and still for Sumail on the side of Aster. And I mean, elephant in the room, in this case, lightning pony in the room. Shouldn't TSM just ban out Lesh? Thank you.
Oh.
All right, which other heroes are we thinking might be problematic for the teams?
So I like Wind Ranger a lot for Aster because usually on 23 pick when you're a mid laner, you want something dependable, something that can farm, something that doesn't have any strong counters. There's also not a lot of stuns on the side of TSM, so a mobility-based hero like Wind Ranger could be very good. And if they do go Wind Ranger, I mean, TSM could counter with a puck because they do lack disables, and probably the best mid laner left in the pool that can stun for you is the puck. But I still think Wind Ranger in that case would look solid.
Yeah.
Well,
Wind
she's
Ranger.
gone. Never mind.
Yeah.
Any Earth Shakers? We saw that for Sumail. They have 4 melee, or like 3 melee guys, and Batrider wants to be melee range. Looks like a pretty sick Earthshaker Ags game.
Or Queen of
Queen
the
of
Pain.
Pain. Yeah. Queen of Pain.
I'd be down for Queen.
10 seconds remaining.
It's an easy pick for Sumail.
Is it?
Yeah, he can just play whatever he wants.
Yeah. Well, what would he want?
Yeah.
What about this male OD? That's exciting.
It's a save, I guess. I'm trying to...
I think they played it only once, but it looked so cool when they did play it. It was a better game for OD though, but...
Yeah.
Is it important for him to pick a hero that does still go well with the IO, or does that not matter that much?
I feel like the Slark and the Mars are enough.
Yeah. Mars and IO also a very strong combo.
I feel like their draft doesn't need anything, so I wouldn't even mind like a I was gonna say a push hero, but most of them are already banned. The Lesh, the DK, the DP.
I think a stable laner from mid is the best shot.
Oh, Ember. Okay.
Now, Queen or Puck are available for TSM.
Is Bryle a Huskar gamer?
Oh,
It's a pretty
I
nice
think
Huskar game.
he is. I thought I seen him play Huskar.
He's NA. Of course he's a Huskar gamer.
True.
The question is, does he feel comfortable playing it on the big stage here at Riyadh Masters?
The problem with Huskar here is that you don't have disables on TSM. So if you're doubling down on this Huskar, you're basically saying we're just going to stomp this mid lane and try to play off of our Huskar's early Aegises and run down lanes together. But if that doesn't work out, like if Aster rotate on this Huskar and kill him a few times, then TSM have no way back into the game.
But the Ags, the Huskar Ags, it's undispellable. It works against Slark. Do it, Bryle.
How about Necromancer? I think it's also.
Oh, yeah. Necrophos, I'd be totally down for that.
They got a full minute to think about, so Moon Meander is giving one of the better speeches that he's ever done, I believe.
I think Pango or Puck are the safest options just for completing that disable problem, but they're definitely not like your win condition options.
No, you can't pick that hero against Sumail. Sumail will beat you.
Just hard lane counter Sumail, it's your best choice. I understand what you're saying, Mira. I don't think they have that luxury here. I think they just have to, like, let Bryle vibe.
I think if they pick Huskar, they will lose because Aster supports will
Yeah, maybe
do what they
Huskar,
need to
yeah.
do.
I'm not disagreeing with you on the fact that they'll lose, but I want them to pick Huskar.
Okay, let's see it. VSJ is a prophet. Let's say so.
We'll see. I just think if I saw some, like, you know, courageous pick.
Wow.
Lone Druid coming out.
But it's not so good, I think.
Not so good.
Yeah.
Is it not so good or just straight up bad?
I like Slark a lot against Lone Druid.
Okay.
I think he makes Lone Druid's game really hard because you're all about like keeping them off of you, and Slark just wraps on you, and your bear is supposed to be creating that space. You've got Mars, you've got Slark. I think they have no problem committing onto this guy, and unless he just stomps mid lane, I don't see how this Lone Druid's gonna do what we want it to.
I think it does some cool things, this game. Like the Lone Druid Fear versus IO is really annoying for the IO because he runs away from his tethered target. He also has a good lane versus Ember Spirit and can apply that early tower pressure. It's also a way to scale into the late game, but I don't necessarily think it addresses the disable issue. So while I think this Lone Druid will have a good lane, I'm not sure how TSM are going to be able to pick and choose their fights this game.
I really don't like this Lone Druid. I mean, even he have a good lane with Timber, I think they still lack so many things. Like they don't have stuns, they don't have catch, and they don't have burst damage. They will Aster will just healing, and you can kill anyone.
I don't disagree.
Okay, so Fifth Pian, if TSM were to do well with their draft, what needs to go? Like, who is carrying the torch? Who is doing it? Who has stepped up?
I think everyone needs to step up. Like first, okay, I think 3-line, they need to go well, and you have to play a good game with Long Druid to like push the tower and kill the Ember, and like you have to like play well in mid game. We get Roshan, we get everything. I mean, it's so hard.
Stars align.
gotta be
An
Matsu.
uphill battle.
You gotta be Matsu to win this game.
Let's find out what's gonna happen. We're heading over to Cap and SVG.
Aster versus TSM in a matchup that we talked a lot in the draft. Bryle versus Sumail. Now, Bryle, I think as a player, has had some ups and downs, but I think mostly through the period of time of about 2017 into 2021, I think Bryle showed a good amount of growth, but he is still yet to really prove himself on the biggest of stages, and he's going to try it now with the Lone Druid, a hero that throughout his history on J-Storm, Crazy, TSM, he has not played this hero against good teams, frankly. He's played it against other North American teams, Avery. And he's playing it up against a North American mid laner, but one of the best mid laners in the world.
Why did I feel like you were flaming me with that one?
I was not.
Oh, just every other North American team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the last time they played it was against Sand King Gomez.
Hey, we're on the rise. Might see him in Riyadh next year.
We might, but right now they are not a good enough team to be in Riyadh Masters, whereas Aster are the best team in their group right now here at Riyadh Masters.
Absolutely owning it up 12-2 or something. They are getting away with murder in this group stage, quite literally, as they have found their groove. Some of those games were very close, but they clutched them all out. So sitting atop the board, and a lot of this game might come down to mid here. The King versus the NA Prince. I don't know what else to call Bryle. I mean, he definitely has.
I was about to say, I'm not sure if he's earned enough acolytes to be called the Prince, but
probably not. We'll see. Maybe with this game, because this is a very favorable Lone Druid matchup. You can absolutely dumpster the Embers. This is a matchup we've seen Liquid play a bunch in that European regional. For Nisha versus a lot of those Ember Spirits, I think for me, there's the three that come to mind, and trying to punish the Ember in terms of the lane matchup into the tower pressure that he doesn't deal well with. It's Huskar, Dragon Knight, and Lone Druid.
Okay.
So they're going to go for the third option here. They felt the Huskar was maybe too all in. DK got banned, so you're left with the LD here. I think
it is really interesting because he has played a fair amount of Huskar.
Yes, Bryle is a Huskar player. Absolutely a Huskar player. I mean, you can't not be a Huskar player and be a North American mid.
True.
That's pretty much just how it works. Creep cutting bottom, by the way. Very weird situation on this camp.
Yeah, they're doing some Bat Rider, Ion Shell, Firefly shenanigans here.
Yeah, they just don't want to lane straight up on the early levels. They want to get to level 3 on Darkseer, and then you can take the fight to the Slark. Especially if you're burning out some regen. There's no headdress on Pichu yet. So, interesting idea from TSM. I mean, you also have to keep in mind this was a first phase Terrorblade. So when you go down this draft, you get to the last pick, you kind of want another win condition hero. You want a hero you're going to play through that's going to set kind of the paradigm of the game, that it's not just all in this Terrorblade who got counterpicked very hard. So you kind of need this really strong pick in mid. And I feel like Lone Druid does fit that. The upside here is your 5-man push is very strong between the Lone Druid, the Darkseer, and the Undying. Put some shells on this guy, heal him up, just go to town. You might have an early high ground potential if this game snowballs how TSM 1 and 2. That is also something Terrorblade can lend his hand in. Like those 20-25 minute high ground pushes, you just go like Yasha Scotty or something. That's where Terrorblade can thrive. I feel like that's what TSM are looking for this game. I don't think it's a game where they just want it to get extended in your 50, 60 minutes in these fights that are going to be kited out. You're going to feel bad at that point.
On the other side of things, we do have Aster with their middle of their draft. They drafted some of the most iconic hero player combinations they could get. Kaka Lion and XXS Mars, which I was wondering if you're going to see more of his Mars in this tournament. It's an offlaner who did fall out of favor in the recent year, but has seen a little bit of shine, a little bit of coming back.
He's looked better for sure.
Yeah.
This is just a classic hero with the IO lineup. So whenever you have this IO opener, you go into the second phase, you just need lockdown, you need stuns, and if you can get an AoE on top of that, you're super happy. Mars is pretty much the best. It's been the Chinese de facto pick to balance this hero out a lot of times in the draft. I think that's why Faith Beyond liked it as well. And yeah, XXS, a Mars master here. So everything just aligned for Aster in that second phase. I don't think they had to think too much about it. Just get your stuns, get your Siggies, let them go to work. Slane's a pretty tough lane, Terrorblade on 9.
trying to stay in front of Kaka so they can get this kill. He spears Whitemon into the tower. They impale him immediately afterwards. Not still under the tower, and he does live in part because it is decay level 1, so it's not quite enough damage.
Got the Lotus out of that too. So Aster very happy with how this top lane is going, to be honest. Like, I don't think this is a lane you go in and you expect to win as Aster. There's Tombstone, there's meta. Very difficult early waves. They have not fed that first blood away. That's the biggest point here. Still, it's some early lane winning for TSM, and I think you kind of expect that. The mid is going to go your way in the Lone Druid. The top's going to go your way with the Undying pick. It's just this off lane that's a real wild card.
Your first blood might just go the way of Aster. I mean, they seem to be doing a very good job contesting this bottom lane.
They're playing the early waves pretty decently, going even on the early levels. Outside of you just killing the Darkseer and completely snowballing this matchup, I think you're okay with this if you're Aster. You're just trying to survive here. Mitigate the damage, slow down the TSM's push, and then you're going to be in a happy position if you're Aster. That first blood is eventually going to fall out, and it goes to Tomato over Whitemon. So TSM's super happy with that he got it with the illusion over the zombie, because that is a lot of extra gold into the Terrorblade's pocket. And remember, it's all about how fast TSM can get these 1 and 2 items up on their 1 and 2 in the Terrorblade and the Lone Druid and just start pushing those towers down.
Sumail, even though he did get the water rune, he's going to need another refill as this matchup starts really getting difficult. I mean, this is just not a fun match to play. Lone Druid versus Ember Spirit is one of the more one-sided mid matchups you could have.
Did get the bear resummon out, which is pretty nice because now you can't get double rooted off of the resummon into the level 5.
Sure.
Which is one of those small windows where you can kill this Ember just straight up. I mean, there's still some threat here with a single rotation. However, it's Kaka coming mid, not a TSM support. Do they have the damage for this? It's going to be close with the blood grenade.
Blood grenade, it looks like it's going to be enough. Sumail is going to be able to claim that with the help of Kaka, who actually is the one to secure the last hit.
That's a huge kill.
Yeah, that puts the bear on cooldown, and it puts Sumail into level 6 category. So now the laning phase is pretty much over, and it's kind of been won by Aster.
At least in this mid, for sure. The fact Sumail played that lane well enough that he got the resummon out of Ryle, and then they got the 2-man gank right at that point is just a thing of beauty right there.
Now if they could like get the power rune, then that's just kind of like the final cherry on top.
Oh, I assume it would be in heaven if that happens. This is not a lane you're supposed to be this close in levels and net worth on this early in the game. Big setback for TSM as all these little things add up. It might not matter now, it's gonna matter 20 minutes from now when you're trying to go for these early high ground pushes or Roshan contests. 6-minute power rune, 50-50. Sumail, once again, does not have the luck. But he does have level 6, so he'll be able to refill and come back.
Yeah, frankly, who cares as long as you no longer have to play that laning phase anymore. Kaka gonna be chased down by some zombies. It's body blocked. Whitemon, let that zombie go.
The deny?
Kaka's gonna go for the deny, but it's the decay that picks up the last hit. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Kasane dies. Looks like they got a battle to the death, and it was close. Sark almost falling, but ultimately Aster come out ahead again.
A lot of little things going Aster's way in this early game, keeping them in a very competitive position here. And wearing through some of the TSM momentum. This IO Sark lane has gotten a lot of XP out of bottom. Monet's already almost level 6 off that kill. That's really good news for Aster, because then it frees up their IO a lot more. All of a sudden, Pichu doesn't have to sit down here and babysit Monet from a behind position. He can go and play through the Ember, play through the Mars, give him some extra sustain, contest maybe some early tier 1 pushes. They're going to split the Wisdom Runes. Also, probably nice here for Aster is Kasane has to take that just to get the Darkseer levels back up. This might be a slower game than TSM wanted.
I think much slower than they wanted.
However, Tomato's having a great time. Right, he got first blood, he's been free farming top. The Mars Lion lane, Kaka went mid to try and skew that matchup. The upside for TSM here is that their Terrorblade is still having a feeding frenzy up here.
Yeah, but what does the Terrorblade do alone? Because I feel like this Batrider as a support, when you lose your lane, your impact can be rather lackluster. Maybe this is going to save things, though. Managed to get a vacuum back in with Whitemon cutting in from behind. Fortunately, Monet and Pichu did move to the left, so away from that tombstone. Still maybe chased down. Ari really trying to slow down Monet, but he just can't quite get him. Well, chase him out of lane, but not enough for a kill.
I mean, Kaka's down here, too. I mean, that early ult on Monet paying off already. Now they can maybe just turn. Yeah, they're going to TP in the bars. You have Arena here.
Spear him back in. Start going to work. Kasane, that Vanguard is not going to make him tanky enough here.
This is where the Sark Darkseer matchup feels great right now for Aster. you ever get in a position where you're just building up the stacks, Darkseer hates this matchup. You want to be the aggressor with the level advantage, putting in the higher level shells, forcing the regen out of Monet, keeping him off that level 6. Absolutely none of that happened on this lane. And now Kasane is falling behind. He's going to have to pick up with the other 2 cores here for TSM, and when that push comes through, when they combine the Terrorblade and the Lone Druid, that's going to be the big question here. XXS will TV back bottom, and Aster continue to play the lanes. Some decent stack action going on. I don't know if they can kill this, though. Ari's almost dead.
Whitemon will take some of it, apparently.
Okay.
It was very interesting. This is not the first time that these 2 teams matched up against each other. They were in the same group in the play-in stage. And while TSM did all right for themselves in that tie-in stage, or play-in stage rather, the TSM managed to tie almost every single one of their series. I really did. They, going into the second part of the group stage, they have not fared nearly as well, as Aster just seemed to bloom under that pressure of the play-in stage. Did very well there, and will only seem to get better over time, whereas TSM seem to be struggling now with the tougher competition.
Maybe a bit of a honeymoon period with Kaka.
Maybe.
And, you know, NA is not doing too hot. I think that's how I'll phrase it. Monet going to build up some more stacks.
Tombstone and Wall is pretty hard to fight into, but...
Yeah, the thing is, it's just, they're getting more spells out of TSM that aren't achieving progression on the map right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are fights around this Tombstone. You're leveling it early here from Whitemon. You want to be extracting core kills or tower pushes out of this. At least freeing up space for Bryle. This is the real threat for Aster right now. As Sumail chases bottom, the Lone Druid is going to push it mid. So when you commit this Ember time away from
the pounce lands in time.
It's a trade-off. Tier 1 going down, Kaka will have to defend. I mean, he's not defending this, so I think tower...
They run quickly back. XXS TPing in, was hoping to be able to sneak an arena onto Bryle. Won't be able to get that immediately, but maybe they can still chase him down. He's going to go into his melee Lone Druid form, but he's already at half health. And Tomato,
there's a Sunder.
Maybe he can Sunder him here to keep him alive. It's a dangerous move, though. And the relocate coming in. Tomato's actually the one going to be in trouble here. Sumail dies, though. Bryle does manage to pick up that fight. Now the Tomato turnaround. He gets off his own Sunder. Monet has taken a lot of stacks, though, and he still has his ultimate. He's going to be left behind. Tomato is going to be chased down underneath this tower. I mean, Bryle managed to make a little bit of magic happen there, killing Sumail in a desperate situation where none of the supporting cast of TSM could apparently rotate.
That was a very awkward fight. I think Whitemon just got stuck bottom. And then this Tombstone was used bottom. You don't have it for a fight there. He's their biggest factor in these early skirmishes. I mean, it's great that Bryle gets to turn that around and take Ember out before the Ember gets more XP. Still, Sumail is super happy to make that trade, right? You're powering up Monet so much off that kill. Even XXS is pretty happy with that exchange. I thought the Sunder was going to come through for sure, but of course, Relo was already up. So much XP on this Io and Slark off the Darkseer kills. That's just catapulted them ahead off this laning phase.
I also think, I'm not sure quite how many neutrals they got in lane, but I do feel like all that pulling shenanigans, because they fought the Darkseer away from it, they kept on meeting the creep waves together. I feel like they got a bit of extra experience out of that situation as well.
It was very good in the end.
No melee form, and Aster are just bringing the numbers, man.
That was a resummon too.
What I love about this lineup from Aster, you've got Sumail, who you talked about his aggression as a mid laner. You've got XXS, who is known to be a super aggressive. He likes the initiating offlaners. And Kaka was always that kind of 4 position as well. He was always, for me, a 4 melee stunning kind of guy. So this lineup can be very aggressive when it comes to the kills.
No, I love how Aster are playing this game, and I think it's great for them to show this kind of versatility in terms of tempo and the fact that they can snowball a game like this. Maybe a game where their lanes weren't even stronger on paper, right? This is not a game you expect them to be snowballing out ahead in, getting early finger kills, playing the Io Slark. This Io Slark is very fast. It's an old school combination. If it wins the lane, it's just going to run over the map because there's nothing to sit there and man fight it back, and it kills your vision, it takes your stacks, it's very hard to catch. Everything coming online for Aster. Now they can kind of just sit back, chill, continue to play through Monet with his levels in the early defusal. What's your answer here if you're TSM? Your lineup is not really built around taking the man fight into the Slark when he's in this dominant a position. I mean, look at the gold Monet has got in this first 13 minutes, man. It's out of control.
Echo Saber, yet another early fighting item. TSM just can't handle this. I mean, at this point in time, they no longer have the team fight. to be able to stop this Aster 5-man that's happening, or 4-man.
Your lone druid is in a very tough position. This is a lane he was supposed to be ahead. He's not even getting to an item. I mean, he has Mask and Madness. This is the Mom Deso build that is designed to steamroll through heroes before they can get up the EHP and steamroll your towers. That tier 1 is still up mid, by the way. Well, Aster making a 4-man smoke move. What's the punish on this? The punish is you're losing a tier 1 mid to a double damage Ember right now. Like, Sumail's just 1v4. This is
not okay.
This is unacceptable if you're TSM right now. Your tower died first in a lone druid Ember matchup. I don't know exactly what the stats are on that, but it can't bode well. And two big power items done. Echo and
they're going to lose their Wisdom Rune, maybe. No, never mind. Lasso's going to be able to stop them. Pull back for the kill even. No, the Flame Break is going to be a bit too late. They're going to go for the relocate out too. So
it's going to waste so much time.
Yeah, it just means you have to wait another 12 seconds to get this IO kill.
They're going to push the other waves, farm up their initiation power. Blink done for XXS. Blink coming for Kaka. Going to sacrifice Pichu here, but I don't think he's too sad about that. At least Tomato is finding something. The Terrorblade is still very farmed. That's going to be the comeback mechanism for TSM right now. If they can play through Tomato, get some tier 1s down, get some good fights out of the meta, you can still carry some of these early engagements. It's a pretty good Terrorblade game until later on. Like, the Ember and the Sark are going to scale extremely well versus you, but right now, when they don't have the burst damage, in theory, because you have like a Soul Rip or some Darkseer aura, I think this Terrorblade can be king in the early fights. Of course, Aster don't have to run into you either at this point. They can just split the map, abuse relocate. Lion pick off, that blink is coming in for Kaka. And it is nighttime, which means, yeah, that ward's pretty cheeky, but it's going to cost you your life. By the way, is this ward actually supposed to be this good?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
As in, like, how it sees underneath the tier 2?
Yeah, because generally, and the only reason I bring it up is generally in Dota history, wards on cliffs near tier 2s are not supposed to give you full vision of tier 2. That's another finger charge will be grabbed here, number 2, and that's blink finish.
I would have to think about it more.
I know that's a weird thing to bring up, but when you think about it, right, like having a ward that can see completely over a tier 2,
yes,
it's really insane.
That concept is usually pretty rare, of like being able to have high ground vision over a tower.
There is no other spot on the map that lets you get a ward like that on any other tier 2, and I don't even remember a single patch where that was the case. It's a very powerful ward. I think we're going to see more people abuse it. However, is it doing much for TSM here? No, as
no,
I don't know if they're going to get back there.
Aster don't need to play on that side of the map at all. Now, Tombstone is out. They're going to have to address that, which does leave an opportunity here on the side to be able to get the kill on the Lion. But now Monet is going to keep chasing after them and assume, yeah, he doesn't need to be relocated out of this fight. He wants to keep it going.
They'll back off. They know there's vision here. Monet is spotting it out right now. Gets pinged as well. That's what helped them find Kaka off of that blink rush from Ari on the bat.
It is, the sentry sees up the cliff, but not quite to where that ward is, funny enough.
Gotta work on your placement. You're gonna try and chase down XXS up here. No Tombstone, no Lasso.
He could Arena to save himself, but looks like XXS is just fine with dying in this situation. Probably assumed that Lasso was up.
Yeah, Sumail's just 1v3 up here with a shield rune and some Maelstrom procs.
Yeah, this is impressive.
Okay, he actually just straight 1v3'd him. Sumail feeling great about this game.
Yeah, because even if they turn around and fight back the Ember Spirit, and Sumail finds that he can't actually take that fight, nothing's stopping him from jumping to his Remnant. They have very little control on the side of TSM because the Lone Druid is so far behind.
Exactly, the Lone Druid is what is meant to shut down this Ember so he's not in a position where he abuses the fact that TSM do not have stuns.
Yeah.
I think Aster had two very good picks there, which were the Puck and the Ember. They went for the Ember. But I think the Puck looked good for the same reason. Like, who is going to shut down these mobility heroes in the fight? You either have to cheese them or you have to restrict your last pick. A tough position to be in, especially when the cheese pick didn't work out. However, Deso finished for Bryle. So this is your time to strike.
Relocate up to top lane. Kasane gonna be gone on underneath the tower. He has a vacuum, but no wall. He's going to have a hard time with this one, and Tomato is not going to use the Sunder. He needs to be able to fight for himself. His own life is in danger after all. He's going to have to use it onto Whitemon, but that's not going to be enough. Well, maybe it is. The fear comes out for a second. Tomato's still going to be targeted here. They need to be able to get in front of this Slark, but they just can't.
They have to get the return here.
Monet, he's got another pounce up in a second. Stay in front of him, get the kill. It's very important to get this one, but no. He slips away, and it's nighttime. The bear is keeping up with him. And I think he's out. He's gone. He's away. Lasso. Okay. If they can get the mail, that's a consolation call. They do manage to get that. Oh,
he didn't have a remnant out. Ooh, a misstep, overextension. However, Monet healed up during all that and is back, and he still has the stacks, man. 50
great stun. And yeah, Monet is big and bad, beautiful at this point.
And he's getting tipped by Sumail. The new dream duo here. Slaying kids left and right. 52 essence shifts on Monet. That is just Roshan. That is not the part in the map you wanted to give all those Agi stacks to Slark right now.
Nope.
And also just perfect timing on this delivery for the Axe. Lets him get in and out there. Maybe a little unlucky with the roots there from Bryle. I mean, we probably needed some clutch ones there to maybe come back. Didn't get them. What can you do? That's the downside of Pandas. They're slow.
That's true. Clumsy beasts. Should have chose a different cosmetic. You've got a pipe now. Feel like it's a bit too late for that because the physical damage of the Slark and the Ember Spirit is what's killing you already. This game went very wrong very quickly for TSM. And it doesn't even look that bad net worth-wise. It's like 5K. TSM have kept it within reason, but they were supposed to be the ones ahead by 5K, if not more, at 20 minutes.
You want to be pushing Aster, not getting pushed off the map. Bear's very tanky here. The problem is
this is an opportunity perhaps with the vacuum wall, locking down 2 and then focusing on this lone druid. Monet is going to be the next up here. He's going to be body blocked up a little bit here. They managed to get the lasso on XXS, pulling him in. They're like, forget about the Slark, guys. He's got the Aegis after all. Let's just get easy kills out of this fight.
That's the type of engagement that can still go very well for TSM. Lone Druid is a very powerful hero. You have to respect what his ult does in terms of, okay, you're getting stacks on the Slark. You're not really killing Bryle. And meanwhile, the bear is still hitting people the entire time.
Yeah, frankly, this was...
for the ult. Maybe you go for this. This is just a little ambitious.
Very ambitious. I mean, this is almost like hubris levels ambitious. You go for the tankiest hero on the enemy team behind their tier 2 with all the cooldowns up.
I mean, I also think it's okay to let Monet go in and poke like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then he leaves and then you get spells and you re-engage.
Because I don't think TSM can touch him. Even if they could, they'd have to do it twice.
Close. Pichu there in time.
They're kiting him out now.
You got
hoping to get something. XXS is going to TP into this top lane, so see if he can bail out Kaka. Kaka throwing out what damage he can before he dies.
Why?
Well, because he can, because he knows his team is going to keep fighting without him. Tomato is a little bit low here. Let's see if he can get a Sunder off. It's going to be on a teammate. Once again, Bryle is going to be the chosen ally.
Not a bad target to Sunder when you can heal it back up. Scotty terribly doing some work. You're going to have to
Monet just getting stats on stats on stats constantly. They will finally take away that Aegis, though.
He has no ults or leaps. Is he just dead?
Is he going to get rooted? Oh, okay, Relocate came in.
Yeah, he actually needed that reload.
Yeah, he was, I think, dead otherwise. They do manage to get the lasso on the IO.
Yo, these fights are... You're getting a lot of momentum away if you're Aster here. A lot of gold back into Bryle's pocket. I just don't think they're understanding the strength of TSM when they're grouped as 5, and the fact that you can just play the map here if you're Aster, split them up, and then let Monet start the fights with little stack building instead of just jamming yourselves into these 5-on-5s, into Tombstone, into Meta, into Sunder, into Soul Rip. Then the IO's constantly getting pushed out of position, and then he's getting lassoed or killed by the bear. You have to respect the sustain, because this is the point in the game, the 20 to 25, where this TSM lineup is extremely scary. The sustain, the group, the ball with the aura, the shells, the damage over time, it's hard to fight into.
This was they're like one of their game-ending moments, right? If they really ran away with the momentum, they'd be going high ground.
Yeah, this game just might end if TSM were up where they want to be right now. Still, you have to respect the fact that that 5-on-5 is very good. And that'll be an Undying Shard, so... And a little extra save on the grab ally.
Especially since they need it. I mean, Bryle was actually going for a Ghost Scepter just to try and protect himself more. He did actually commit to it,
That's a rough pickup. That's really not the one you want here ideally. And it won't even save you here.
No, not in this situation.
Gaga just too fast. No mercy.
Do you think that TSM, is there a plan B?
I mean, it's to scale, right? Lone Druid, terribly. Darkseers can scale pretty hard. Like, these aren't weak cores. In theory, if Aster play these kitey fights and they build up stacks, maybe they're a bit favored. Still, the fight can easily go well for TSM if you land a big Blink Lasso or something, you drag Aster into a wall. Their two supports are very strong in playing the map and getting these pickoffs. They're very bad in the actual 5-on-5. Especially if they get gone on first. And Surged Batrider is... There's not much answer to it here. There's no real saves on Aster.
Smoke's gonna break, but he got it! Got the lasso, any follow-up disables? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that looked great until it didn't.
I mean, Kasane didn't even throw out the vacuum, but even if he did, it still wouldn't be enough. They need the Lone Druid.
Yeah, you need the Lone Druid there. Bryle's just dead. It's a tough smoke. They'll find Kaka, though. Randomly sitting in the river, and he will go down for sure.
I can't believe Kaka ran down the river by himself towards the enemy team that showed themselves at mid.
I'm surprised you didn't finger him again. Just to send a message. Tower damage on the other side of the map. They'll TP Ari to set up. He does not have lasso here. Maybe just trying to bait something out. Maybe baiting a little too much.
Yeah, this pounce is holding in place, and Monet just gets a freebie.
That was just food. 16 permanent Agi stacks, by the way.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of kills.
That's some extra damage in Monet's pocket. Well, TSM struck back a bit. That Scotty Terrorblade timing was pretty formidable. Is it enough to propel them to the next set of Lone Druid items? That's going to be the question. And it's a big one, right? It's Assault Kuros for Bryle. It's a long way away, especially when he went back for that Ghost Scepter that he felt like he needed. You know, it's an extra 1,600 or so that it's just not going into plate mail, not going into this AC. BKB for Tomato. All right, this is as good as it's going to get for a while. So if you're TSM, you want to smoke up, maybe Surge the Batrider and find a good lasso target on either one of the two supports. The IO is the best. I think you can grab the Ember of the Mars if you have everybody there. You like pull them into a Bear Fear and burst them down. You get a Flesh Golem hit. They'll die pretty fast. That type of fight doesn't look too bad for you unless that target gets reload saved. That's where you're going to have to judge it if you're TSM. Do you try and look for the IO, take the save and sustain out of the fight, or do you just go for a core and try and displace him? You can maybe cancel the reload with, you know, some random roar, flame break, vacuum, whatever, and play the fight that way.
Yeah, I was looking at their ability to interrupt IO's tether relocate. It's pretty poor.
If you really want to dedicate one of these heroes with the spell to it, you can do it. You can also just be very clutch with it if you're Pichu, right? Like, you don't show the tether at the start of the fight, have it up, and then instant snap tether reload the guy out.
I kind of think your best option is Kasane maybe just running up. Like, if you get the initiation, Kasane just has to bolt for the backline. He just has to run and get a good vacuum wall that hits everybody else so you can cause chaos.
I think you let Tomato and Bryle just kill the guy who gets lasso pulled in, and then you look for the backline disruption that really sucks Aster into a bad fight.
Good catch here from Ari.
Yeah, that's always going to be a free.
Anything is nice at this point.
I mean, 70-second cooldown lasso here reversed no saves. This is pretty undefendable unless you abuse the Slark Vision as the front line. So this is something TSM can continue to play into. Looking at this second Roche, okay, first 20 minutes maybe didn't go how TSM wanted to. If they get second Roche on here, Aegis cheese, you put one on the Lone Druid, one on the Terrorblade, you still have some pretty damn good high ground mechanisms here.
Yeah. Aster is abusing you on the map right now, though. Sumail getting a lot of damage on this tier 3, and we saw Monet mowing through those tier 2s earlier. He's got a Scotty.
Aster should keep up this split push pressure. Don't let TSM group for free. And Shiva's on that Ember. That's a tanky boy right now. Very value item in this game versus the LD versus even some of the AoE TSM presenting. The Terrorblade, of course, some stacks being built up, but they get a meta out of it.
Now Tether trying to get Pichu away.
I don't think he can get out of this, though.
Yeah, Flamebreak's probably going to bump him back into the kill zone here. Jump back in from Monet. Nice vacuum wall. That is beautiful. The arena's going to try and protect them, and it will. The shots on the Terrorblade are not going to be able to do anything here, but the lasso managed to grab the Ember Spirit. Sumail, he's slowed down. He's not going to be able to get a whole lot off of this one. Tomato used the Sunder on Ari like that. That was a bold move, and now he has to rotate back out of this one. Fear for his own life.
I don't know if that was a misclick or what. I mean, maybe he wanted to save his Batrider. I'd let your Batrider die and save the ult, my man.
Seriously.
He already did his job. I don't know. There's something about being sacrificial as a carry. There's also something about taking it a little too far here. Put me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I feel like they could have
hero
kept
damage,
chasing, right? Maybe they don't kill the Ember Spirit, but you can surge and keep running after some of these other heroes.
It looks like Aster got out. Still, it's a bad fight for Aster, right? You just get sucked in off of this kind of weird positioning from Pichu. This is not where the IO wants to be, especially after he uses Tether.
I think he's got to stop playing with the Slurk. I don't know who he plays with, but I feel like you just got to let Monet have some independence, you know? This is too much of a codependent relationship.
Oh, yeah, he just saved Ari there.
Yeah,
I respect
he did.
that. I mean, he still had BKB. I'd let him die, but I guess I'm a older and more jaded player than Tomato. I agree. I think Pichu, you don't need to be tethered to the Slark at the very start of these fights.
Yeah, let him go in deep,
Yeah,
get some hits,
exactly.
back out.
Like, what is overcharging a Slark going to do? You're maybe going to get 3 or 4 more stacks. It's not changing the course of the entire engagement. Whereas you maybe hiding, forcing TSM to wait and see where you are, maybe forcing the Batrider to go deeper into you, set the fight up that way. It just sounds better to me.
Yeah. I think it's hard whenever you are like an IO player, play a bit of IO. I know you do too, right? It's like, if you're not tethered to somebody constantly, like, what is the point of your hero? But this is one of those games where you have to take a step back and say, my impact in this game is very minimal. I just need to focus on doing one thing and one thing only, and that's getting the right relocate out.
It's a tough call to make. Sometimes you just live because you get mech and lock it off. Even if you die, you still win the fight. I mean, it feels great for Monet to have the extra move and attack speed. Now he has Aegis. Scotty completed as well for this Slark, looking for that level 20 talent. It's going to really put him over the edge. Of course, tower damage is where the Lone Druid shines. He did get caught here.
Yeah, Bryle did leave himself open. Monet's taking a lot of damage. He does finally pop his Shadow Dance, gets away, Vacuum pulls him back in a little bit. They kept the Bear alive, they kept the Lone Druid alive. Smoke up immediately from Aster. They want to make use of this cheese that they've got in their hands anyways. The Aegis for Monet.
Yeah, they also want to make use of the fact that Meta and LD ult are running right now. So if you get a fight going in the next 15 seconds, TSM are missing basically their 2 ultimates on their fighting cores. That's not a fight they
I can't believe TSM is still sticking around like this.
This is very bold. Meta out in 15.
They got to start backing away. Now's the time to leave. But can they get away from a Slark that can really catch up to you easily?
Aster timing this. Monet's going to force it for sure.
In through the portal. Monet goes to pursue.
chase.
Whitemon's already TPing though. He's good.
That is so damn close.
Yeah.
Well, Aster will continue through the gate here as they are being dodged successfully right now by TSM. Clawed their way back in this game, have held it pretty even, and I mean, hey, that AC is coming soon for Bryle. Some of these big items are not that far away, and I really like Tomato's itemization this game. Not that it's anything fancy, but they got decent value out of the Scotty timing, which I think was the correct call, and I think Butterfly is basically the next best power spike you're going to get in this game. He's kind of invincible right now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
like, who is dealing with the Terror Blade? A lot of this game we've been talking and focusing about the Lone Druid and the Slark getting and building the stacks. Has anybody threatened Tomato in these fights?
I'll be
outside
honest.
of himself?
When you were talking about like some of the early game, and you were like, yeah, but TSM, they still have a really farmed Terrorblade. I was kind of going like, all right, Avery. Like, you give a little hope to TSM, but he has used that strength, and now an opening. Oh, good relocate. Picho shows up big time here.
I mean, you can't reload Kaka out of this one, though.
No,
He's
Kaka's
getting
going to be chased down by zombies and bears.
And of course, your IO's coming
Can we get
back.
a tether out?
They got the
he got ensnared immediately as he relocated back, so they get 2 supports off that one. TSM.
More attrition.
Yeah, this is working for them. I really did not expect them to be able to put up this much of a fight. Now looking like they can actually take the game, perhaps.
This ball timing, it's way too powerful. The supports on Aster are not contributing anything in these engagements, and unless Monet feels confident to just sit there the entire time, the tombstone's not going down, the bear isn't dying. Where's the damage? You need 2 arenas. XXS will finish Refresher. There's a little extra control, a little extra damage. I just don't think Aster had the correct reads of these fights, which is going in, forcing out some ults, and then chasing. Instead, it's just been banging their heads against this sustained wall, and that is a Butterfly Terrorblade who just took your racks for free. This 5-man lineup, this is some like old school Moonmander TSM tech.
Yeah, yeah.
He loves these kind of lineups. He just feels like if you get him to a certain point, you run it down a lane, there's nothing the opponent can do. And that is, I guess, proven true here as sure.
Why is it always one of the best NA squads defaults to those kind of strategies? What do you think it is about that? Is it because NA was always so laning focused that being able to reach a key timing comboed with that nicely?
I mean, there's two factors, right? If you win lanes and then you have like a 5-man push lineup, you kind of just win the game.
Sure, yeah.
And I mean, they sucked at everything else. So I mean, you just go.
Well, TSM, they're certainly impressing me. I didn't think that they were going to be able to bounce back off the kind of rough start that they had, but a dead even game. Aster, of course, still feeling like they could do this with an Aghanim Scepter pickup, still have an Aegis and Cheese. They're still good for team fights. It's just how do you fight into this tight ball?
And honestly, if I'm giving one player on TSM MVP so far in this game, I feel like it's Ari.
Oh yeah, he's gotten him, and I think Tomato would be the two for me. Yeah.
I think this Bat Rider is what's causing Aster so many problems in this game. Because without it, TSM aren't getting these random pickoffs. They're not slowing down the supports on Aster. They're not setting up the fight where suddenly you have a displacement hero who's dragging Aster into all of your ball with this Darkseer Lone Druid dying. Like, that's what's making this lineup click. It's like the old tiny lineups. It's the same concept, and there's no answer to this Bat Rider right now from the side of Aster. Every lasso is just free. BKB now, you're completely unanswered, right? Yeah. Nothing will stop a Blink BKB lasso, 4-staff pulling somebody in, except a reload save. And the problem is, if you're finding a support, you're not reload saving that.
Yeah.
And if you find like a Mars or the Slark and you pull them in, okay, you can reload save that. TSM might just walk down a lane.
Right. I was thinking about this, like, what should the response be? And of like, okay, if the enemy 4 position is a problem, what's the offlaner doing to counter-initiate this? And I realized that XXS, I feel like we haven't really said his name too much in this game.
It's been very quiet.
He maybe could have gone like a Lotus Orb, right, against that lasso, but instead opted for the refresher, and we haven't seen that double arena play just yet.
He's had it for a while. It just hasn't had the opportunity to use it, and I guess TSM running down this lane is going to give him the opportunity. Ags, by the way, done on Tomato. He just bought out, maximizing the damage. You have a secondary mini meta plus a Terror Wave here. Man, if you get pulled into like this Tombstone back and you get feared,
Sumail just diving in, he got Terror Waved, but XXS came in with the arena, blocked some of the damage, and did manage to counter-initiate. There is still the lasso, but again, the wrong side of the arena, so didn't get any damage done. Bryle's being targeted with the nullifier on it, but Kasane did manage to hit a really nice vacuum wall. Got him inside the Tombstone, going for the Lone Druid. They gotta finish him up now, and they do. They finally get him. He got one last roar off to go, scaring away some of these heroes. Tomato's trying to pump the damage up, but he's struggling. Picho managed to get bumped up to the high ground, and they can't save Tomato. Maybe they can. No! Can't get off the Sunder. And TSM get thoroughly routed in this one. Oh, he went back in for the kill on Picho, but the Depth Shroud proved to be too much of a problem. TSM, they thought they had this time with that 5-man ball, but Aster, for once, they are able to get a full 5-man shove back into TSM that worked.
That's a very important fight to win here if you're Aster. Like, maybe the game-deciding fight when we look back on it. If that push goes successful for TSM, you're cruising to another lane, potentially just walking top and running it down another time. Instead, you get rebuked here, and it's all Sumail, right? He starts this fight, baits out the Terror Wave, survives that, then he tanks the lasso. This Shiva's Axe, he's so damn tanky, man. The bear is stuck outside the arena, by the way.
And Tomato was outside the arena as well,
yes.
So both damage dealers did nothing in these arenas.
So maybe I felt like it was Sumail, but looking back on this, XXS really just bailed out the Ember Spirit on the goes and messed up both damage dealers there for TSM. You were talking about where is XXS's impact in this game? Well, he makes it felt at a very clutch moment here. Super good arenas, just salvaging that fight. Baiting the Ember Spirit's tankiness here, and I mean the damage coming out from the Ags on top of the Shivas, on top of the Maelstrom blocks, on top of the Quiver is ridiculous. Almost 7,000 done by Sumail in that fight. Just clears through them all. Your Lone Druid is not surviving if he's losing stacks, and his bear can't hit people. That's the really bad thing if your bear gets stuck on like an edge in an arena like that.
Yeah.
You're not life stealing on the main hero.
Right.
So then you got to throw him in a Tombstone, but then the bear hops back out.
It is a cool concept, though, the Tombstone grab ally with the Lone Druid.
Super broken. It is super broken.
Really stupid.
It is one of the most broken things.
But meanwhile, Aster had their own save mechanisms that they used quite successfully in that fight. One thing is this depth shroud. Monet being able to bail out Picho. So now he can tether onto this Slark and join him deep into these engagements because the depth shroud can help him when he's being targeted like this. And it bumps up the regen factor.
3 seconds is a lot of time. Still, TSM. Maybe they learned from their mistakes in that fight and they're just gonna run it down again. They know, they feel like they're on a clock at least. Or at least this is where their lineup thrives, so.
What's gonna go better?
Round 2? No, just a poke, bring Aster back and get the lanes back out as they want Roshan. This is about setting up the map, setting up the lanes and the vision to try and get this next objective. They want Aegis, they want Cheese. There's a refresher shard as well.
Okay, so pull him down to this side of the map, then go through the portal
and nice
set up for Dire Roshan. It is, it's a positional advantage. Aster could pursue through the gate or run across the map.
Fast enough. I feel like they just got outmaneuvered.
I think they did.
Monet is willing to go through this gate, which he's debating right now. You can reload him in as well.
I mean, if they had the Lone Druid, this Roshan would be dead, but it looks like Aster are going to be able to get here in time. And he's going through the gate. You're right. They're going to try and set up for him, but XXS already hit the Lone Druid. He went into melee form. He's going to go survive. The Nullifier is taking him down. Bryle, they're throwing everything they have at him. Got him inside the Tombstone. Once again, they're going through the Tombstone. He's going to pop back out. A second arena to be able to control main, but Bryle's still not dead. He pops a Ghost Zip through the Nullifier's gone, but he finally goes down. Tomato, a Terror Wave goes out, trying to push back this Slark, who's putting tons of damage in. Another Depth Shroud, a Shadow Dance. He's able to pile himself away, and now he's going to start healing up, and Sumail and Monet are going to play the distance against TSM. They're going to make sure they can't get back to their base. They're stuck in this situation.
You still have a Sunder here, your Tomato, but are you going to be able to get it off?
Hexed up, nullified, and again, unable to get off a Sunder. When Aster find the opening against the Terror Blade, they 100-0 him.
You still had a Cheese on Sumail after all of that. There was still gas in the tank here for Aster. A really nice go and disengage as Roshan is going to bounce him back towards bottom and say, it's summer vacation time. That Nullifier paid off. It helps Monet finish off Bryle in the middle of that fight. They kept that Lone Druid alive for so damn long. If you have a few more seconds in there, you might be able to shift that fight to your advantage.
That was supposed to be an Aghanim Scepter.
Immortality.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was about which side Roshan spawns on.
No, he transfers over.
Yeah, but I feel like it's been doing that forever. I feel like it's never switched it.
I'm just
Even
saying
if it should be
an
it's supposed to, I feel like it never does.
Yeah.
Because it's like those games where he runs back and forth between the gate and gets bugged.
Yeah.
It always stays the same item. Who knows?
Now they've got double cheese. All right. Double cheese, tier 4 items. Got a disperser. He's going to work towards an MKB, but frankly, the evasion, it worked for a while, and it did make Tomato very tough to bring down, but they managed to win fights without it, without an MKB.
Yeah, and
once he gets an MKB, then Tomato can be the first target, potentially, rather than the last.
Tomato's damage is falling off right now.
Yeah.
Zeros are just getting too damn tanky, especially when they get these late game talents. You let Sumail get to a level 25 talent here with Ags, Octarine, Timeless Relic, Ember, a Refresher Shard in the back. I mean, how many Remnants and Slights is he gonna have, right? It's just infinite. The Ember is the biggest problem in this game right now. I mean, I'd like to say that, but I guess it's actually Monet, as we should give him credit. He is 18-0 on this Slark.
Yeah, he has
that domination
kill streak.
It started in the lane, and he has yet to give that streak up. I don't even want to know how much gold that kill is worth, but it's worth a damn lot if TSM can ever get it.
Are scanning.
So you're in dodge mode now.
Remember when they came so close to killing him?
It was a couple times this game.
Yeah. I wonder how different the game would be in this situation if they did manage to finish him off, or if it would be different at all, because Aster ultimately were able to play the map multiple times when they felt like they couldn't beat TSM in a 5v5.
He's walking in. He knows they see him, but he has Aegis, so he doesn't even need to clutch Dark Pact here. He really doesn't want to. He's just fishing. Ari's looking for the IO. He sees him.
Yeah, he sees him. He's going to get the lasso on him, and the team is going to try and follow this up.
Nice
they do
pick.
get a nice Terror Wave to cover that as well, to make sure the IO dies, and there's no rebuttal from Aster.
Sumail's just going to get the hell out of there. That is not a fight Aster want to take without their IO. No need to. He's up again in 60 seconds. Lone Druid ult used. Terror Wave used. Your Aegis is still going to be good for another 2 minutes here as you push towards level 25 talents in the last stages of items here. Of course, you also got a Hex on XXS, and he's going to instantly put it to use here. He can
spear
refresh
him
this
back,
too.
he can refresh if he wants to. Big focus, but the rest of the team is here. Vacuum goes out, they manage to get the roar off. That's gonna push away some of these heroes, and Brow's okay.
Jeez.
At least for now. He's gonna eat a little bit. Monet pops the Shadow Dance, still trying to focus on him. Oh, the Tombstone picks him up mid-spear. He's still inside, and this time they for once cannot go for that tomb. They're gonna chase down the heroes now. After the arena expires, they'll catch up. Oh, Kaka managed to get the blink away just before the shot lands. I think surely they're still going to get him with a surge or something.
Oh, that's a ninja gear.
Yeah, he's ninja geared up, so they lose sight of him. But Ari, he finds him in the end.
Well, found an Aeon disc.
Kaka's going to make this as hard as possible. Did he get out? Is he away? Oh my God, he's away. This guy's too good.
I mean, Kaka takes and Kaka gives. He is a deity beyond all mortal comprehension.
Yeah, he took your ankles on that one.
I mean, he finds the Hex on the Lone Druid. Unfortunately, the ult is already out. The finger, I think, probably healed the Lone Druid here. It does a big whopping 300 damage on the bear. So Kaka's impact, it's been tough in these 5-on-5 engagements. They almost get Sumail. Of course, you still had a couple cheeses here from Roshan. That'll sustain you through this fight. Not looking so convincing, though, for Aster, and what a goddamn dodge here, right? That's the Refresh Spear Arena that ends up doing nothing because you put that bear into a tombstone. And apparently that is just more powerful than anything else in the Dota universe. Shoving someone in a catacomb. What do you do versus it? Absolutely nothing. Aster back on the prowl. It's still daytime, but it's going to hit nighttime in 10 seconds. And of course, you still have Aegis for 30 here.
Ari spotted. He used this spot last time to catch the IO. This time he'll be caught. Fortunately, the BKB, that was relatively fresh. Oh, they actually get the IO immediately. Again, he tries to help out Monet and get caught in the process of it. Monet's going to be able to bounce back into this arena and go for the kill onto Kasane. TSM having a hard time with these arena walls as always. Kaka able to slip away into the night, while as Ari can't do as well. Oh, Tombstone save actually during the lasso onto Monet. They didn't have the damage, and he still saved inside that Tombstone. Maybe, oh, Sumail! He bounced back into his red, then he ran right into a bear.
That is not where you wanted the remnants, son. You had all the remnants in the world, but nowhere to go with them. That was a refreshed Ember with 8 or 9 remnants, but you can't escape the claws. And another very clutch Tombstone grab ally here is just salvaging these goes. The Slark is building up the stacks, but Monet cannot finish a hero. Remember when I said he had 18 kills cap? Well, now he only has 19. He hasn't been able to find any more. These fights are just getting stalled out.
Oh my God, that was so close.
This spell has absolutely ruined Aster in these fights, and now we're in a situation where TSM, they have meta, they have LDL. They're looking to end this game right here,
I think on
right
the last
now.
one, XXS, who has been trouble for them with these arenas. If they can finish him off, it'd be great. But another arena goes out, and he's able to live off of that one. And now it's going to be a TSM overextended.
that
Spear
spear
nails him, gets him inside the... No, he didn't get him inside the tombstone. He actually just straight up dies. Bryle, he's going to fall as well. TSM, 2 different times now. They've gone into a high ground push, desperate to claim an early victory, trying to upset the odds, but end up just giving away the team fight. And now Aster free to push the high ground that was so difficult for them before this.
Just gonna instant reload Monet with all those stacks. Now they're in a position you might just be looking at the throne. Do you have buybacks on every hero? If you're TSM, you don't on the Lone Druid. You're missing the gold here for Bryle. I don't even know if you had the bear. You don't anyway. This might just be the game.
And you don't have meta, you're only gonna have Terror Wave. So in such a long period of time, he's gonna come out and have one little point of strength for 10 seconds.
You better make it count.
Yeah.
I mean, Sumail bought back for that. If you manage to defend your base here and kill the Ember,
he's gonna have to buy back. He cannot hold on to this.
And how much are Aster gonna push it? Let's say Aster don't commit here. 30 seconds until the lone
XXS tries to
druid.
pounce, he managed to get the side,
What a
but what a vacuum wall! Grabs everybody faster and then get that terror wave, get the damage in,
Oh,
or
the
you're
crits,
gonna lose
the
here.
crits,
The depth
the
shot is
heals.
helping out Sumail, he had the cheese as well, and now Kasani's gonna target the combo, wasn't enough for TSM. They don't win the start of that fight, and now Aster will start going through the buildings. They've got 10 seconds to work with though. They can get the Megas and get out safely,
But the
or they
clock-
can play the 4 versus
The
5.
clock struck midnight, Cap. You don't have meta, you don't have Terror Wave, and you don't have a bear when you come back up. Where's
Going
your
for the
damage?
throne, get him inside. They don't even have to take this. They could go for the throne if they want to,
Oh,
but
he
they want
wants
the more
heroes.
kills. Monet wants as many as possible. Tombstone won't save you for long this time, Whitemon. He drops an extra one on his death, but that's 3 dead with no buyback. And the 2 carries, as you said, do not have the abilities that give them all their strength. They are nothing without them. And Aster will take everything from TSM in this game 1.
Monet padding the stats in the fountain. He ends that game 25-0. Well, that is a carry performance if I've ever seen
And
one.
Tomato respects it too. At the end of the game, he tipped him. He tipped Monet. He said from one carry to another, that was one hell of a performance.
Yeah, from start to finish, right? Monet just played a perfect Slark IO game here. Pichu had some really clutch reloads as well. Still, TSM showing some chops in this match. The tombstone saves from Whitemon were out of control in terms of the timings, and damn did Tomato play a very good Terrorblade game, right? Like, the stats do not reflect it. 8, 6, and 6. Let me tell you something, this was an extremely close game in terms of Tomato just putting the team on his back and carrying that. You're one push away from clinching that out in a game that pretty much went as bad as it could in the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
Honestly,
and multiple times where they just weren't able to really do that much.
Yeah, I'm honestly impressed by TSM in this game. I think it's a very tough game to push it that late and make it that close based on how the early game went, and they played those fights really damn well.
And I think we're impressed because
found the
TSM
IO.
have been doing a little bit worse in the group stage.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Aster showcasing, you know, they're still the best team in this group for a goddamn reason.
Very true.
All right, back to the panel. Head to game 2 soon.
Well, Aster does take this game, but TSM makes a great case for themselves to still be here in contention for doing well at the Riyadh Masters. It was a very close game. I'm joined by Faith Beyond, by Effie, by BSJ, and Brian, this game in particular, this was, I mean, the result we were expecting, but definitely not in the way we were expecting it.
Oh, no, absolutely not. What I harped on TSM yesterday was their draft not really having like a win condition or a plan, and we all were skeptical of that lone druid, but you could see, like, you win one small engagement where all you do is kill 2 supports. Even when Aster has Aegis, you just march down a lane, and that made the room for error on the side of Aster very little, and I feel like TSM, they jumped the gun a little bit on some of those future pushes, almost getting a little too antsy, thinking like, wow, we were this close to ending the game off of 2 support kills, and Aster just kind of slamming the door on him.
Yeah, I mean, that performance by Monet, 10 out of 10.
Oh.
That was really beautifully done. Not dying a single time in such a chaotic, drawn-out teamfight scenario toward the end is so cool. But I mean, overall, I want to give credit to TSM because they're not necessarily a team that I associate any kind of like gotcha pick or cheese to. So to see them bust out the Lone Druid and to see the idea have so much merit within the game was really cool. Also, I thought that they were in a losing situation from after the laning stage, but the fact that they found that farm on Terrorblade and they managed to get some winning fights speaks a lot to their improvement.
Yeah, Faith Beyond, we have, of course, Aster victorious. Do you want to talk about Aster or do you want to talk about TSM? Because there's a lot to be said about both teams.
Yeah, I think TSM definitely, they perform beyond my expectation. And I think that's the beauty of Terrorblade. You just build a team fight around your team Terrorblade and you always have a chance to win. And also, yeah, Aster is amazing. I mean, Monet, he's always one of the best carry player in China and maybe in the world. So in this game, he just owned this match.
He did. He for sure did. I think he's making a great case for himself already for being potentially, I may get ahead of myself, but a Credea MVP for later on, but that's later on. Let's first analyze our STC play because there were a lot of plays we selected and it's like, nah, this one's better. And we selected this one in the end where TSM already had made a good showing of threatening the high ground, Brian. and Aster was able to repel them in the end.
Yeah, I realized mid-game that TSM really had no like threat to them pushing in the terms of like who clears the waves, who defends the towers, and Aster, Sumail just throws himself in, XSS falls up to save him so the Terrorblade can't hit him, Monet chucks himself in, and you're gonna even see later in the fight that like usually it's the support's job in the IO's case to save his carry, but Monet's even gonna use his shard later on in order to make sure that his 5 position stays alive. So like this is the play right here. Like this is just firing on all cylinders. I love to see this type of play. Like I'm saying, Aster was one mistake from losing this game, despite the fact that Monet is like 25-0.
Yeah, and we want to obviously praise Aster where it's due, but I also think that they probably were a little bit surprised by the way that this game went. They must have had the same idea as us after the draft was done, thinking that they had the number of TSM. Didn't turn out to be the case, Effie. Aster, winning or not, they must take a good look at themselves after that game.
I think it's a wake-up call to be a little bit more reeled in as a team, because I still think that their draft was better and I think that they played well regardless. It's just that after 2 supports died in the mid lane, when they got the IO 9 kills, they suddenly lost their Rax. So that's to say that even if we make mistakes, we can't afford to do it. So that's a very important sign for them. Yep. But we praised Monet a lot, but I think all of Aster played incredibly well. The arenas from XXS were on point. Lion's ganks from Kaka, they were also on point, and everyone did a great job.
You can see why he likes the Lion a lot. It had a great impact. And I'm sure that there's a lot of players out there that are having a great impact. Maybe we can check in on some of those games, as we have 4 series running at the same time. Not all of them have that first game already done. As you can see, Shopify and Team Secret are still in their first game, just like BB Team and Talon. But Team Liquid was able to beat Talon in their first game. Brian, that is a little bit of the Western European rock, paper, scissors balance restored, if I'm correct?
Yeah, they absolutely needed this on the side of Team Liquid, and on the other side with Tundra, they absolutely needed it as well, because they were 2-6, now 2-7, tied with TSM for 7th, 8th, and Liquid was the team right above them at 3-5. So suddenly that gap to make sure you get past the group stage is becoming insurmountable quickly.
Yep, and just another quick update. Team Secret did take game 1 just now, so just in hot off the press, that is one scoop I got for you, but maybe Jenkins got some more on the grounds at the Player Lounge.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back from the Player Lounge with content. I'm sitting here next to my friend Kaizen from Gaming Gladiators, who has been described by their team as the backpack of the team. That's his job. I don't know what that means, but he doesn't play Dota. I'm going to show him pictures of Dota heroes, and he's going to guess what their names are. So let's begin with this one. Who is this guy?
That's a black screen right there. Oh, is that Megatron? Yeah, is that Megatron?
No, that's not Optimus Prime or Megatron.
Oh, what is it then?
This is a guy called Clockwork. I was told by your friend that you would guess this one.
I don't know who the hell is that. What the hell?
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. I'm gonna press Control Tab here. There we go. Do you know?
Woo! Oh, he's some ugly mother. Phew. I'm gonna guess he's like ugly dude.
No, his name is not Ugly Dude. His name is Meepo. You were never going to guess that one. I just wanted to see what your reaction was.
Name for ugly guy.
Yeah, actually, there's 5 of him in the game, so he spawns additional clones of himself, so it's more and more ugly.
As if one's not enough. Bloody hell.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Can you guess who that is? I gave you an easy one.
I mean, that looks like my dad. So...
Technically, he's everybody's dad.
Is he Godfather? I don't know, Godfather, lightning stuff, Zap Lord.
Who is a godfather who does lightning stuff?
Zeus?
Yes, that's Zeus. That's Zeus. He got it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Who is that?
Jesus Christ. What the that was like bull crap or something? Bullhorn? Bulldozer? Bullshit?
You're kind of close. His name is Magnus, as in Magnetor, like, you know, a horned bull sort of thing. So you're kind of close.
Does not look like a Magnetor.
He's not very good right now, so doesn't matter. Okay, here's the final one. This is actually the hardest one. You're not going to get this, but what would you give this name?
is that Sparky? Or it's like Pika or something? Pikachu? Is that some form of Pikachu for Dota?
Sparky, Pikachu. No, this is Io. This one you were never gonna guess. It was originally called Wisp, but because of copyright issues from Warcraft 3, they had to change it to Io. So yeah, you did good. You got one. Yep. Yeah. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. And back to you at the panel.
Yeah, he was very close. He must have heard our commentary team say Pichu a lot in that game because he was the one playing Io, so I couldn't understand the confusion for sure. We're getting ready for our second game between TSM and Aster, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Riyadh Masters.
Sumail is considered to be one of the best mid players of all time. Known for his Storm Spirit and Shadow Fiend play, he achieved a large amount at a very young age. Sumail was born in Pakistan and started playing Dota at only 8 years old. In 2012, his family moved to the USA, where he began playing in various in-house leagues. He quickly rose to the top and got scouted by EG, who promptly recruited him. Evil Geniuses and their new mid laner Sumail managed to win the Dota 2 Asia Championship, or DAC, in 2015.
Do they get the bash on Super? Yes, they do. It's a dieback on the Shadow Fiend. He'll pop as well. Ice maybe next, Sumail.
Defeating a plethora of top teams from around the world, including Chinese favorites Big God and Vici Gaming, as well as Team Secret. In doing so, Sumail cemented himself as a young prodigy and one of the best mid laners in the world. Following their success in DAC, Evil Geniuses were considered to be one of the favorites to take home the International 2015. And sure enough, they did.
Keep running out for JJ
Making Sumail not only the youngest player to compete at a TI, but also to win it. 2 records he still holds to this day. Sumail went on to spend many years with EG and achieved great results in several majors and international tournaments. In more recent years, he's had brief stints in teams such as OG, Team Secret, and a year in Enigma Galaxy, with whom he placed 5th in last year's Riyadh Masters. Most recently, he's moved to China to try his luck there, playing for Team Aster. Sumail is looking to prove himself to the Chinese fans once again. Can Sumail break records and language barriers by achieving greatness with a Chinese team in Riyadh Masters 2023?
Can Sumail do it together with Aster? We're here to find out. They definitely did it in Game 1 against TSM, and that's for sure. Will they be able to repeat? And that's going to be largely dependent on the draft and, of course, the gameplay, which we'll get into in a little bit. The teams are getting ready on stage for that second game, and I'm joined by BSJ, by Effie, and Faith Beyond. I asked you the question in the previous game if you were the coach of Evil Geniuses then, but this time around, you're TSM's coach. What you do?
I would say we have a great game at Game 1. Now Game 2, I maybe want to ask Bryle if you want to play Storm Spirit, or if you don't want to play, we can just keep going. We can build a draft around the Timado hero, and we just need to do a little bit better. Maybe we can win this game.
It's a little bit better. Easy. It sounds very simple. We had a Terrorblade first phase pick, and it almost did work. So why not just maybe do it again?
Yeah, but that's because Aster opened with an IO, so the Scotty was always going to be high value and a really good timing for Aster to play against any kind of IO or heal strat. This time around, though, who knows what Aster will open with? It depends on who has first pick. I think we could potentially see a Storm if TSM have first pick.
Yeah, of course, first pick previous game was in the hands of Aster, which caused TSM to ban it out themselves together with that Snapfire. We had Aster removing Brood and Silencer, and this time around, Aster still removed Brood and TSM still removed Snap. It is, however, first pick for TSM, Brian, so that Storm Spirit still on the docket if TSM doesn't ban it out. But if they wouldn't ban out Storm, is there another hero that they should remove?
Well, there it is.
Well, they still remove Storm.
Okay.
I think that what TSM's just by showcasing to me in these drafts is that Ari has had options later on in the draft that he, like, there have been like kind of these type of 4 positions they needed, like a roaming melee guy, and his hero pool, as good as he is pretty limited right now. His experience is low. We've talked about he has less than 5,000 lifetime games of Dota 2, including like all of his accounts. So that's pretty impressive to think that he's even here, but he's a specialist. So why not just give him a hero he's ultra comfortable on at the beginning of the draft? And if you don't feel comfortable picking anything other than the IO Lesh first round as your reliable opener, I see no problem with this.
But also the spot already looks better because we couldn't see the impact that we wanted to see out of Arya because he was laning into IO Slark, which is a nigh impossible lane for Batrider, especially as support. Like,
True.
How does he fight into that? But there's no IO in this game, so definitely going to see more impact coming out of Arya.
This is almost a full minute of bonus time for an opening Tidehunter pick. Faith Beyond, this is not a hero we often see as an opening. Why? What do you make of it?
You mean Tidehunter?
Yeah. Did I say that? I meant Tidehunter, yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's a very common opening.
No, it's not. No.
Maybe they just want... okay, we pick our offlane combo first, then we can have like easier pick on top lane and mid lane. Yeah.
And it looks like they could potentially be trying something here, which is always good to see from teams that are topping the groups, that they're willing to experiment with their strategies and they have the leeway to do so. Maybe just the Batrider pick was enough to solicit, okay, let's test out our Tide opening. This hero, we can have him frontline these team fights. He can't get lassoed because he'll dispel it with Kraken Shell. Let's see where it takes us.
That was exactly what I was thinking. Is last game they went with Slark as an immediate response. Not an easy hero to lasso at all. A lot of teams I think have underestimated that if you just give Batrider these point-click targets that are, he's going to lasso you and it's going to suddenly end the fight right there. Yeah, the Kraken Shell. What I want to see from TSM, if they can, is a ranged Silver Edge builder. I know that sounds kind of specific, but now all of a sudden that just shuts down this Tidehunter pick entirely. I didn't need to see it here, but that's what I'm looking for moving forward in the draft. Timbersaw, hero largely ignored last draft. I think he got banned second round or maybe even third round.
He did. Second round. So do you like it here on second pick?
It's good against the Tide, but I wouldn't say it's particularly amazing against Disruptor. Disruptor always punishes these ability casting heroes that rely on mobility, and Timbersaw is absolutely one of them. The only thing Team Aster needs now is some guy to hit the Timbersaw when he's locked in that kinetic field static storm. Bloodseeker would have been great. What else is there?
What else is there?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
I mean, I feel like potentially Medusa for Team Aster, just to lane versus a Timbersaw and try to exploit it. Like, yeah, there is a Batrider and the Flame Break could be an easy way to gank her, but it is a strategy that Aster are comfortable with. There's something to take advantage of it on lane. We've seen an influx of Lunas lately, too.
Lunas?
We've seen an influx of those.
Well, I do want to point out that the Terrorblade is still in, and it looked really good. If they first phase picked it, why not second phase pick it and make it look even better?
Last game they did ban Tidehunter after picking Terrorblade, so you had mentioned during our first draft that like these teams are showing us how to protect the cores there, and so maybe they think that the Anchor Smash plus Kraken Shell damage block is too powerful against a percent base or like a base damage hero like Terrorblade with illusions. I would love to see a potential Ursa for Aster. I know a lot of teams have been struggling with this hero, but we've also seen, for instance, Team Secret, who's on the rampage, going 5 wins in a row right now. They've even utilized Ursa for Chrysalis and
Monkey King.
Yeah, I don't like Monkey King as much against Batrider specifically.
Okay.
But just because of the Firefly breaking trees and having the sticky napalm to consistently cancel your Primal Spring. But I would be totally fine with that pick as a way to address the Timbersaw.
Wait, you say Ursa?
Yeah, Ursa.
No, that's a trash hero.
No! You've agreed with me on so many things up until this point. This is when I know he's serious. Why is it a trash hero?
You just lose lane every game, and now Nullifier is so popular, you just can't do anything.
Okay, I'm sold.
I didn't take much there.
They take out the Morphling and the Medusa on the side of TSM. We mentioned a Medusa potentially for Aster, but Morphling would have fit the build too. He's a good axe target for Morph, and also he's a high sustain hero that can hold his own against Timbersaw. I wonder if maybe Drow Ranger is an option here. I mean, it doesn't seem like the most conventional hero, but
For
now
which team?
for Aster. Even TSM, you talked about ranged Silver Edge buyers, and now both teams are in a position where they could build something like this.
For Aster, it's a good choice. Monet also, he loves play Draw Ranger.
Oh, I see a Luna getting moused over there.
Well, at this stage of the game, doesn't Kaka normally gets his hero? Like, Lion is pretty decent still this game, or is it too squishy?
Rubik.
Rubik. Well, he does get his hero either way.
Did you say Luna getting messed over?
Yeah.
I thought there was an influx of those.
Yeah, that's why I referenced it. Yeah, that's just a nice, reliable pick for them. That I'm sure TSM's kind of got on the radar, as Timbersaw historically has always been countered by ranged heroes in lane, in the sense that he can't abuse Whirling Death. Luna's always been a nice staple.
The nice thing about Aster is that they have second pick, so this is the best position for them to try to fit in a ranged carry into their draft, because now they can see if they're threatened by any kind of gap close, which they don't seem like they are so far. I mean, there is Batrider, but that's kind of whatever now.
But at the moment, are we going under the assumption that Timber is their offlane, or is Timber very much still a flex hero for them?
It's still flex because we don't see the mid laner for Team Aster, so Timbersaw could be open.
Now TSM need to pick a carry. There's no much carry in the pool right now.
The reason why Luna's even better is we talk about Luna as like a 9th pick carry when you don't see your laning opponent. In this case, it's good against Timbersaw in lane, and also if they elect to move the Timbersaw to mid, there's not necessarily any offlaners that just absolutely destroy Luna. She's a very reliable carry, so it would allow them to kind of cover all of those bases, knowing that they have the absolute last pick and not giving Timbersaw a good matchup either way.
And it's just quite good with aura buyers like Tidehunter, because she's a hero that likes to group up with her team anyway, so they can take advantage of the aura.
True.
But I wonder, what kind of carry do you think are TSM looking at right now? Because Faith had mentioned that most of the good carries are banned out.
Maybe Void. I don't love it against Disruptor, but I like it against the other two.
First you have to win the lane. Oh.
Elder Titan, Templar Assassin. So they keep more flex alive.
Yeah.
Because the Templar Assassin can, of course, go mid and safe lane. Elder Titan is most likely going to be white one, so we know at least that. But that's, I mean, do you like that they keep it that flex?
Honestly, I didn't expect these two picks, but now I feel it might be good because ET looks like a good counter initiation here, and TA also. I think now at safe lane he can have a good game, and also you can flex it to mid lane. It gives just more opportunity for teams.
Yeah, it does. The draft is still open, and that's the ideal position to be in before you go into your 23 pick. Also, it's a good TA game because the two supports on the side of Aster, Rubik and Disruptor, get shredded by Meld. Like, she can kill them so quickly. And Aster counter with the typical, or traditional rather, TA counter, right? Reflection is so good at removing refraction charges, and Terrorblade just outfights her so easily.
But you're dealing with ET Aura, Batrider, Timbersaw. I think other than the TA, this Terrorblade pick doesn't look great on paper.
Yeah, I agree on Brian, and now I see a very good hero for TSM, Zeus.
Oh!
Hey.
You have so much damage.
But then,
the Godfather. Zeus is unpicked.
But then
by
you
the way,
have
so
Tide,
far.
and he buys Pipe first item. Pipe, very nice for him.
Or
I've
Tinker,
seen a lot
maybe.
of Tides do it. Tinker sounds cool.
That would be cool.
I feel like Zeus is so easy to counter these days, especially if you have a support like Disruptor, who's really good versus mobility heroes, so he can't heavenly jump out. He also just gets like silenced by Static Storm, and Disruptor is a natural Glimmer Cape buyer, and Zeus sucks his patch because of Pipe and Glimmer Cape and all of these barriers.
Aster is on a different wavelength right now, though, because they ban out a Tomato hero, so they're expecting this Templar Assassin to still go to the mid lane.
I think they'll cover their bases. Take out a mid laner, take out a potential carry.
Yeah, you have two options because the TA is good against everything but the Terrorblade, but you also have what we talked about, 3 heroes that are pretty good against Terrorblade. I think if TSM were to leave this TA as a carry and put a mid laner that feels pretty confident playing into this lineup, just doesn't get wailed on by Terrorblade pretty much. Any hero with natural mobility, I'd be happy with that. But I'm also happy that Aster's kind of taking out what TSM traditionally goes for, heroes like the Drow.
I think for TSM, they better put this TA on carry, because if you pick a new carry, it means this carry you must, you need him to carry you to win against Terrorblade.
Yeah, too many things.
Yeah, and this will weak the TA. And if you pick a mid, then like we can play 3 cores. Then TA is fine. We can have 2 cores deal with Terrorblade, and TA just deal with other heroes.
What about Juggernaut then? I feel like Juggernaut's pretty good against Tidehunter, Disruptor, and Rubik, and with 6 slots he can beat up the TB.
I think too much farm.
He needs too much farm?
Yeah. I think they best pick like Zeus, or I think some mage. They can fight, and you can also have a good performance at the late game. That's a best option, I think.
Yeah, mid laner ideally for me here. Agreed.
Well, I've never seen Aster ban that fast. They're like, okay, TSM is, you know, running short on the old bonus time.
Oh.
Okay, they
wow.
pick up the
we
Dark
still
Seer,
have
so
this
that
hero.
works too, actually.
Yeah, Timber mid.
I'm pretty happy with that pick, actually. Maybe the Sumail SF. That'd be pretty hype for me. Just put a little showcase on for this Timber mid. One of the few heroes we've seen that just absolutely wrecks him in lane.
10 seconds remaining.
I think the issue with SF though is that you have 2 heroes in TB and SF that kind of want to do the same thing, which is dish out as much damage as possible from a range in the Ravage, and it's just too many easy targets for a TSM.
And Leshrac coming out, and everybody fell silent. Why is this?
I actually like TSM's draft way better this game. I'm a big fan of everything they're doing here. I'm a little bit skeptical on the execution side of it, but I think they've got all the answers. The only hero that causes this TA issues is the Terrorblade, and now they've got a 4th counter with the Darkseer, one of the absolute hardest counters in the game. So I'm gonna go with TSM for this one. I'm gonna, put myself out on a limb here.
I'm thinking about it. Okay,
Yeah,
so the Leshrac.
Yeah.
I think without a steroid type hero to make him stronger gets easily exploited by the picks TSM have, because not only do they have lasso but no save for the lasso on the side of Aster, but they have a natural aura buyer, like they have their pipe buyer, they have their Greaves buyer and Darkseer, so it just feels like it was kind of like, let's pick a hero that does a lot of damage and wins mid, and that's Leshrac, but TSM's draft seems more well-rounded.
I'm kind of worried about TSM because they pick Darkseer. It looks good against Terrorblade, but I feel if TA got limited in teamfight, they don't have enough damage to kill Leshrac or Terrorblade. They do have a good teamfight, but after they also have Tidehunter and Disruptor, which is very strong in teamfight. So I think they really need a good game on TA.
Yeah. I want to see a Silver Edge on Tomato. I want to see the lasso onto the Tide with the Silver Edge hit. Suddenly, TSM wins the team fights because there's no Ravage coming out. That's the win condition. They're going to see it. They're going to own this game, absolutely.
I feel like Darkseer's TB illusion, though, is going to give them damage if their TA doesn't have a good position, right?
Well, we're going to have to wait and find out. Is there enough damage on TSM to bring down Aster? We're finding out with Cap and SVG.
TSM in the play-in stage did manage to tie their series with Aster. And in this group stage, Avery, they could really use the tie because they are bottom of the group right now. Being able to just get a tie over the best team in the group would still give them a chance.
A future of grief.
But where does it end? Is this team just going to tie for another 5 years?
No, because they lost a lot already.
Okay, well. I guess the old tie strategy doesn't work out eventually.
I mean, eventually you get out of groups with ties and then you head into best of threes. And then there is a third definitive game that you will either win or lose. Either way, sounds like our panel were hopeful for some of the ideas that TSM is going here for the draft. I mean, they've got some comfort mixed with some decent counter picks, but I did appreciate Faith Beyond pointing out there may be a damage problem. If their lanes do not go well enough, they may not be able to burst down the Terrorblade or the Leshrac fast enough in these fights. And if you don't do that, then the damage output from those two can be rather immense.
I think it can go both ways, though. If you look at Aster, outside of TB and Lesh just wailing on people, the other 3 from Aster, it's a lot of utility, stuns, kind of control. It has to lock in place so that the damage is coming out during the same time as those stun durations are ticking on TSM, especially since they're probably going to have decent aura timings here on the Darkseer. Whereas the Tide, I think the Tide's game is way harder than Darkseer's in this type of situation. I don't know how good his lane's going to be into TA Elder Titan with a Rubik. This should be a lane that Whitemon basically has free reign over. And I think when you give Elder Titan free reign on the lane, this hero's pretty terrifying. Got a courier as well with regen. This is a very nice start for TSM. I expect TSM to win the safe lane very hard if they play it to perfection.
Will they win the off lane? Because this is the same duo that we saw from game 1, and they did not manage to do so well, but I do, oh, that is a nice glimpse. Got him to the other side, straight into the hands of Monet, and that will be your first blood.
Oh, Monet did not last hit it, though. A little unfortunate for Aster. Still, they're going to be happy about that pickup as, I mean, Monet was 25-0 last game. We'll see what he can put up with the Terrorblade here. It is a pretty decent Terrorblade game if you can get to, like, the BKB later on. There's almost nothing that goes through it there. And that's maybe where the damage problem lies. It's a lot of spell damage coming out from TSM in the early mid-game. If you do get auras on the Tidehunter, you're going to be really happy here on Aster, and you got to protect your Leshrac. If the Leshrac just gets bursted by Timbersaw pure damage, plus maybe in the duration of a lasso and shells, then that fight goes TSM's way. So maybe this game also comes down to Ahri a lot. I think he had a pretty standout performance on that Batrider in game 1. You go back for it here in game 2, maybe for that reason. It is a pretty decent Batrider game in the sense of there's no save again for the lasso, right? There's like a glimpse. Still, at a certain point, you have Blink, BKB, Force Staff. You go in, you drag the Terrorblade, you drag the Leshrac and all your damage into a Meld, into a Chakram. It could be a similar setup that TSM probably felt good about in game 1. They just lacked the ability to scale with stuns and late game damage in that game.
I mean, they were talking about the Silver Edge build for Tomato.
Could be good.
Lasso the Tidehunter into a Silver Edge hit to break him. And that is something that we saw a lot out of the Southeast Asian teams, actually. And I do think some of the South American players like to be able to go the early Crystallis. I'm not sure if they've done it in this meta, but previous metas, they've also liked that item.
Yeah, that is for sure a Southeast Asian build. I don't know how much the other regions will even do it. I feel like when I ask people, do you like this Crystallis on the TA? Most of the other regions players told me, no, I think it's absolute garbage. So, you know, I guess that's what it's worth, which is not much as SEA's recent results haven't been great. But hey, Talon's back on top, so look who's laughing now, Crystallis haters and Crystallis haters.
Yeah, I guess they're both getting a little bit of comeuppance lately. Seems like Team Secret's doing all right for themselves.
Hard to know which one you're talking about these days.
Yeah, it's true. Once again, though, I will point out, I feel like this offlane for TSM is not functioning. I feel like the IO Slark was hard to beat. I feel like this lane should be easier. Am I wrong?
This lane's not incredibly strong. I mean, it's strong when you have meta up. You have a glimpse chase down with a kinetic field. That Darkseer is just, it's like a level 3 power spike timing lane. The level 1 and 2 is okay if you start abusing the support. I don't know, it's very weird. They decided to cut the wave with this again. I think there is a world where you maybe just fight it.
Oh, Whitemon, he's going to go for the stomp, but that is going to be a second kill going over to Aster.
That is a bad kill to give away here. This is not a lane you should die on as the Elder Titan. Pretty much the only way you're dying on is if you get lifted into Gush under the tower, which is what happened. Just a straight up overextension here in a lane that I think is a very free Elder Titan lane. Like, these are good matchups. It's not much to dissuade you running into with the Spirit early. You salve back up, you go in again. You even have a Meld Strike to help you. It's very good synergy if you ever landed here.
Tomato doesn't want to let Kaka have this. Kaka should be free to be able to take the Lotus because he has telekinesis, but he's going to take a lot of damage for it, so he might have to eat it right away to stay alive. Now, he's good, but he does take a hefty amount of damage for that resource.
I mean, you got the ring on XXS, though. Aster's super happy with how these lanes are going right now.
Kasane going to be pulled back in. They do have a vacuum. He's going to throw it last second here and go down fighting.
And Aster have showed up today, continuing their run in this tournament and looking very solid in both these early games.
Just look what's happening mid, by the way. 22-4 for Sumail, so...
I don't even need to watch, I know.
What, that Sumail's going to beat Bryle in the mid lane matchup?
I mean...
That Sumail Leshrac is going to dominate?
What does Kendrick always say, Cap?
I don't know, what does he say, Avery?
Man's got royalty in his DNA. Enough said right there.
That's true.
King be kingin'. He's even going to get the bottle refill. By the way, I'm pretty sure that's why he was tipping and laughing at XXS, because Yawar told me that XXS just yells at their supports to go refill Sumail's bottle.
Is that true?
Apparently XXS knows a couple phrases in English. So he would just tell Baboka, like, yo, go refill Sumail bottle, go refill Sumail bottle.
Sumail bottle, Sumail bottle. That's hilarious, man.
I don't know if I believe that, you know, but it's a pretty good story.
You think Yawar isn't a good source?
Yawar is a source. Yes.
For those who are a little bit confused, Yawar is here at the tournament. That's why he has this
He's helping Aster out, giving him his insight. Nice little second coaching job. As Monet will have his first death of the series. Shame.
Shame.
Terrible performance so far from Monet here.
Yeah, that looks like Sumail's going to have to carry it.
Now his KDA is what, only 26-1 instead of 26-0? Yeah, very sad for him. But a nice pickup for TSM as they really want some extra levels on his Darkseer so he can power up the other two melees and the Batrider in the fights. It's kind of the linchpin of this lineup when you get it really late here. As well as stacking. Stacking, I think, is going to be a big factor for this game. If you can play these lanes efficiently, win them small, and get stacks up for either of these teams, you're going to be pretty happy with it because you want the TA to accelerate off some Ancients later on, and you kind of want some Ancients to fall back on with the Terrorblade or the Tidehunter, especially if you go this Meteor Hammer build. Like, you take 2 tier 1s with Tide, and then you have Ancients to fall back on, you're just highest net worth in the game, and you become unkillable. And I think that's what XSS is probably going to be looking for here, as he is rushing that hammer and almost has it.
Oh, bumped him back down the cliff. Is this enough for Ari to get a kill? Well, he's going to run into a meta Monet, so never mind. And he's going to be glimpsed back into his doom. Meanwhile, the mid lane, Bryle's also going to die there. So Aster really running away with a strong laning phase now. It seems like TSM, I think they drafted themselves a laning phase win in game 1 and didn't get it. Now that they don't have that advantage, they are being kind of run over.
Sumail just opened up way too big a lead on this mid lane with the Leshrac Timber matchup. It is a Leshrac favored lane. Of course, Sumail, one of the best laners in the world, then Kaka just takes full advantage of it, gets a big roam kill, a lot of XP going towards him. They'll get the return here, never mind.
Glimpsed back
Kasane's in trouble. He has no surge.
Unfortunately, the meta runs out. That is the only reason that Kasane is going to stay alive.
Thankful for that one.
Remember when you were talking about how the Chinese teams needed to like shore up their laning phase a little bit more? Do you feel like this is a showcase of that, or do you feel like TSM is just doing poorly?
I think Aster definitely performed way better on lanes this tournament overall. I think TSM have not shown their 100% potential in these lanes in the series, for sure. Still, I think Aster have gotten a lot better. I'm still looking for that from LGD, but I think if you look at Aster and Extreme Gaming, they've definitely stepped it up. I mean, they're competing with these European teams in the first 5-10 minutes here. This game, you have an NA team. NA teams, generally their laning is pretty solid. And I mean, Aster just running circles around them right now. Sumail is way too far ahead for where he should be, and he's looking to steal some stacks. You cannot give this up if you are TSM.
Ryle's going to cut over, and please tell me he had the damage. Oh god, he's going to get the kill on Ari before he goes down. It does mean, interesting enough, he gets a 3rd kill. He gets a killing spree out of that one, so it might have actually been kind of okay.
Yeah, that's kind of nice for Bryle. Bryle's like, thanks, man. Thanks for the boost. Gets a stack on top of it. Now he's almost level 8. If Sumail got that stack, Bryle's game was in trouble. So that's a big objective for TSM to defend in the early game here. Again, the stacking, pretty important to both these teams to push their cores into where they want to be. Those Ancients are going to be sitting there waiting for Tomato the second he decides his time bottom is done. Might be soon. I mean, you're getting a little scared down here when you have this hammer up. If they decide to pull the Lesh to bottom, you just die in that combo. So TSM need to keep track of where Sumail is on this map right now, and if you're Aster, it's kind of time to start playing through him. You're gonna have to get forced out defensively here. That's a win for TSM.
Yeah, Tomato's very happy with that. He's been kicking XXS away from the tower, aggressively going at him, because he does want to let him just get free Meteor Hammer shots on the tower.
More skirmishing top as they run into each other again here.
Another glimpse backwards, a vacuum used on top of the flame break. Kasane tries to come in for the kill, can't quite get it.
Monet's just trying to farm neutrals. He's like, guys, I'm not trying to kill you, I swear. I just want to kill some Alpha Wolves. But if you insist, fine. I will take your soul.
By the way, I think Picho almost died. I think he got mana burnt by that neutral creep. There was like a chunk of damage he took randomly. I'm not sure what it was.
What neutral creep mana burns you?
The blue satyr.
I don't think the satyrs just mana burn you randomly, though.
Maybe they don't, but he took some sort of damage. I wasn't sure what it was.
Hag's Labyrinth over here, bro. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Regeneration.
Now those ogres. Those ogres
do randomly aggro for sure.
Well, Tomato is having a pretty good game here. That is very important for TSM. I want this TA to be the majority of their damage in those fights, which means getting him a lot of solo XP He's going to have even more of it off those Ancients eventually later. I guess Bryle could take it, depending on who you want to push ahead here. I guess that's an interesting discussion. He did get a lot of levels recently. I feel like I'm giving it to TA. Even if the Timbers game isn't great here, I don't know, I feel like he has to just make it up in the fight off of his spells slaying people.
Does what damage he can before he gets glimpsed away. Another great flame break. Bumps him down into the river. Allows Bryle to catch up to claim the kill.
I feel like I've seen this before.
A few times. A lot of fighting in this area. Power rune, 10 minutes. Sumail could have guessed that it's bottom.
And it is double damage, though he wants the kills here. He is very far
TA
up.
seeping in on the side. If they can get the stun on him, Sumail might die for this. Oh, instant melt shot, but the Chakram is slowing him down. Didn't hit the splitter, so Bryle gets in front of him. Timber chains through him, and they get him. A big kill to get. Sumail was getting a lot out of this game. As you could see, he was worth quite the pretty penny. Almost 700 gold for it.
That's that royal DNA. It's going to feed it right.
That's true. Break open the king's coffers, and let the gold spill down to the peasants.
That was kind of a bad death, honestly. I think just slightly overextended position. Didn't think the stun would latch, but it does, and then Aster in a tough position. They don't have saves for the Lesh here. It's kind of running in with him is where the team fight's strong. Just puts them in a weird spot. They didn't have the levels on the supports either to be able to take that straight up fight. They will find a glimpse into Gush. This is kind of where their damage is limited.
This is very aggressive, though. Diving a long time underneath the tier 1 tower. The only reason there wasn't a response from TSM is because they were doing those Ancients.
I mean, Sumail's back. He wants this with Edict and the Catapult.
See if he gets it, though. Kasane, good position to get a vacuum. No heroes to follow it up, though, unless the Stomp can stall it long enough for Tomato to get here. Kaka gonna be slowed down. But
that's a stolen wall Kasane's stuck in.
Bryle clips him with the Chakram from downtown.
Yeah, see you later. Nice little tower defense from TSM. Well, I was going to say tower defense, but the tower did end up dying to the catapult, actually. Did not get denied. The bottom tier 1 did get denied by Tomato earlier.
Oh, they're going for the kill on Monet. He has a TA trap on him, slowing him down a bit. They're going to be able to flame break him and then lasso him before the Sunder, but he actually used the Sunder early, so now they commit the lasso. The damage is still going to come through, it looks like. As soon as the Static Storm is done, Monet will fall. There it goes.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting out of that one. Just too far up on the map. Got to respect the move speed at which these heroes from TSM can just change lanes here with the Surge, the Batrider Firefly, the Timber Chains. A little faster than Monet thought, and that'll put a second death on his board.
Okay, this time Sumail commits to getting the power rune. He guesses correctly again, and he gets probably one of the best runes you can get for a nice track.
It's a very nice one, especially when you go this Yule's build, because now he can just be hyper aggressive with it, probably not die in the first usage. I still don't really understand where the resurgence of this Yule's came from when it was gone for so long. It is cool to see. I like Yule's Lesh. I think it's still very strong. It gives you a bunch more play options. It's very aggressive. It gives you more independence. Like, you don't always need a bunch of supports with you to make plays in the fights. This item's still good on this hero. The Yule's itself has been nerfed over time. I think that's why it fell off. That's why I'm curious why it all of a sudden came back. We saw C-Smile going to Blink Yule's a bit that looked really good, but nobody else. And now it's just meta and meta.
Kasane, if he can get the vacuum, but he misses Monet. Only hits Pichot. Might be able to get that kill, but they're going to trade out here for sure.
Hasted Lash.
Oh, nice stomp. That's going to maybe let Bryle get away. The splitter still lands on him. Long Timber Chain. He needs another one to get away from this one. Sumail does have that haste rune cooking. They're going to chase after Bryle. Actually, the haste rune is now expired. Chakram clips Bryle. Looks like Kaka wants to get some revenge for earlier.
He did. What a 10-head player right here as Kaka drags him down with him.
They're going to catch up to Whitemon, slowed down by the Gush. Meanwhile, this fight is still going on with Kasane. He finally chased down Pichot, and then, like, Sumail chased after him. He just TPs away after a Split Earth lands.
Other factor is the Yules is going to be nice to remove some of these Surge and Shells, right? Dispel is very good this game. First the Elder Titan as well. Even the bat jumps, like, you get this blink first on bat, you blink and you get defensively Yules. There's a lot of things that Sumail can use for this game, and that fight pays off with the haste rune. Has to find a couple. I like that move by Kaka, you know? Go down guns blazing.
Yeah. That's how I want to go.
I also like the fact he obsed for that kill on the camp.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's probably worth it. It's not a bad obs to have either.
Nope.
Around that the outpost area. X6S, they're going to pull it back in. Oh,
yeah, that
Bryle breaks the lasso. When you do that damage to him, Kraken Shell's gonna proc, so they don't drag him very far away. Now he's gonna use a Ravage, Static Storm, Split Earth, a whole bunch of spells with a Stolen Chakram to boot will easily bring down Bryle. And then once he's dead, it's pretty easy to just glimpse back another one. Great vacuum though. Maybe they could get something more off of this one with another stomp coming in from Whitemon. Couldn't stop the TP away. So far, only getting the Rubik, maybe Sumail.
Oh, they would really like this Disco Pony right now.
They would, but I think Pichot's gonna guard him. He's got glimpse, kinetic fields, a lot of options there.
That was the Deso for Tomato. He would have really liked to have joined that fight and gotten some early charges off it. He did clear through all of those Ancients, by the way, so he's almost level 14 here, which is just goddamn absurd. If TSM can use this TA strength right now with the early Deso, plus his levels, plus the next item in the Blink.
Wait, why is he such a high level?
Take him out of nowhere.
Is he getting like solo Ancient stats?
Yeah, he got like 10 Ancient camps, dude. Look at his CS right now. They gave him everything.
Jesus.
This is what that safe lane TA that Aster didn't rotate the Lesh into is going to do for TSM here. You got to prioritize something, man. Tomato just had a free game, and he's going to take a free tower here. Puts that Deso to use.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
You see Whitemon using the stop bug on his Spirit?
Oh yeah, that is like a...
That's a good Elder Titan player.
Yeah, you're not an ET player.
Yeah. Specifically, when you watch his Spirit come back, when it automatically comes back, you can slow it down if you want to keep it out in an area. That's what he was trying to do there. Good catch on Sumail for TSM. They'll get that kill. Aster not able to get a response here. As Pichot is going to be chased by Ahri. He's going to now be chased by Bryle. Stuns though, so he's fine.
This game is definitely a very different pace from Aster though, right? Like they're kind of just having to farm for some of their later scale items on all three of these cores. It's a bit more clunkier. They have to play around the Ravage cooldown a bit more to take these 5-on-5s, so there's a lot more breathing room for TSM in this game. And they also don't feel as pressured to just run down lanes and maybe get the push going as fast as they did last game. Though those lanes went pretty bad, so they didn't get to that point. Here they can kind of just waddle their way into Roshan eventually, kill it with the Deso TA, and then start the advance on the map.
They're going for Bryle, but there's a lot of heroes behind him. What they didn't realize, Elder Titan hits a stomp and gets Bryle out of there. Who it wants to take this fight, though? Because TSM have plenty of members, and they do have that Deso TA waiting in the wings here for an opportunity.
Kaka is going up so far.
That's Kaka, baby.
I mean, that is Kaka. He's freaking dead here for sure.
Dead Kaka.
That was a very bold move. I mean, he had traps. He's trying to get...
Oh, what a flame break! XSS has the TP back to the tier 2, so he's out of the fight for a little bit here. Sumail, Static Storm, they're using a lot to try and save him. Look at Bryle keeping his distance. He knows that Ravage is coming in. It lands, but there's no damage behind it. The meta TB only just somewhere in the area, but Monet's like, guys, this fight was already over, and now he's gonna get caught by the lasso. Oh no, Monet has an opportunity, gets off the Sunder, turns the damage back around on Ahri, but he's gotta get away from these damage dealers. Tomato and Bryle have nothing stopping them now. They're gonna chase down whatever heroes they can catch up. That's gonna be a triple for Tomato off for the kill on Pichot.
Deso charges, adding up now, putting those levels to use, almost 16 here off that fight. There's just no answer for the Templar Assassin right now, especially when Tomato has so many frontliners to run in for him. Every hero on this team is going in and causing chaos. You don't have a chance to focus this Templar Assassin at any point in these engagements. I mean, it's a bold move by Kaka. I'll give it to him. You know, he's getting that trap up there. They really need this Rubik to survive in the fights, though. His Chakram steals have been pivotal to bringing Bryle down. It just puts Aster in an awkward position. The Cliff does not help out either, and the Ravage is way too late here. Nothing syncing up. This is what I talked about with this Aster lineup. If you don't line up the disables with the damage between the Terrorblade Lesh, this lineup is not doing anything for you. It's just a bunch of dead spells.
That was actually the worst example of it. Ravage after the Leshrek's dead, but before the Terrorblade can get there.
I mean, it can be harder than it sounds when you're playing against a lineup like TSM's that can poke and prod and force you into weird positions, has some vision with the Spirit and a bunch of frontliners that are going in. It can put you in these weird spots where you're not sure if you have enough burst damage going in with the Ravage on a hero like the Timbersaw. So, like this XXS want to just go in with that blink and commit with the Leshrac, but then Sumail's getting worn down. Then the TA blinks on the side and meld strikes him. Like, that's what's causing XXS problems right now. It's also kind of the clunkiness of the Aster lineup. as it goes later, it'll be easier to decide for them. It's just something that they're going to have to push through for now. And of course, these Roshans I don't think were ever theirs to get in this game. I think that was always going to be Tomado's, at least the first one. Just with the start he had and the fact that you have Bat Rider, Elder Titan, Darkseer around the pit.
I like this move from Roshan Pit, going through the portal and heading to this bottom lane. I think when you're a TA, so you love hitting Ancients, you're coming up on the 20-minute Wisdom Rune, and you've got this Tier 1 tower still here. I think there's a lot of objectives you'd love to take with an Aegis, but maybe they don't feel confident taking a 5v5 underneath the tower.
He also just got that Tidehunter teleport cancel. It's going to prompt TSM to just smoke straight into the triangle here. Also, Atos on R. He did not go blink on the bat. Maybe to play around Glimpse or lift a bit. Either way, it's a very interesting first item choice, and it's going to set up some stomps and set up some melt strikes.
For Sav trying to help Kaka live, but he does die. They're going to focus on Tomato here, but remember, he has the Aegis, so it means that Aster can't overcommit to it. As you can see, Monet is just trying to get out now. Picho does manage to finish off that Aegis, though, with the Glimpse. Fighting back into it, though, on the second life.
He's in very deep, though. He might pay for it with his life.
The Ravage goes down. The turnaround with the Meteor Hammer landing onto 3. That's a beautiful follow-up, but Sumail is still low. He can't get any damage in during this period of time. The Crimson Guard did allow Kasane to live for a while. Monet gets off the Sunder, but they still have too much damage. Yeah, he kills Whitemon for it, but TSM will gladly take these trade-offs.
You have no armor left. That TA is going to make you disappear. I mean, Monet, he literally did 6,666 damage with the demon here, fulfilling some sort of weird prophecy, I'm sure, but not one that was favorable.
Prophecy of the TSM, that might be coming again.
Yeah, what kind of deal with the devil did?
Look, we don't want to be the best team in the world. We just want to be the second best NA team that gets ties against everyone.
Very suspicious. Either way, this is, again, the type of chaotic action TSM can force by going in that puts Aster in an awkward position with this type of lineup. The disables are not lining up with the damage. When they get to hit people, this Ravage is pretty damn good, honestly. You're getting 3 on top of a 3-man Meteor Hammer. You get a Darkseer out of it.
One thing to note, Darkseer got a lot of damage during this whole fight because the early wall got a TV illusion, and he sicked it on the TV early, and then he put it on Sumail when they went for that kill, and then he put it back on the TV again. He got a lot of damage.
And that is the benefit of this matchup. They also don't have an illusion killer outside of the Glimpse.
That's true, yeah.
Which is not going to be up when it goes out, right? You might have to save it here if you're Pichu, or at least think about it. Because that illusion is a problem. Especially for Sumail. It's turning the Terrorblade against the Leshrac, which is one of those matchups that has been the answer to the IOLesh a lot of times. It's a good illusion to have here.
Close call.
TSM. They are taking control of this game, taking control of the map. The split push potential from Aster, unlike that lineup from last time, is not as good. When you have Terrorblade illusions, that's pretty much it. The rest of your lineup is based around the 5-on-5 fights. And what does your damage look for now in those 5-on-5s, especially if you let Tomato get to BKB here?
Static Storm put onto the Elder Titan. Aster really skittish about these fights. Just the first sign of aggression, they throw out some spells to try and push back against TSM that is heavily encroaching on their territory now.
I don't think you can win a fight right now if you're Aster. I just don't see the damage. You have Pipe Crimson on Kasane. You're going to have a BKB playing out for Tomato. If I'm TSM, I want to push, and I want to push it hard. I want to do it around this next Aegis and end the game there, because there is no answer right now on Aster. They're just going to have to overcome this period or come up with some crazy clutch team fight. I think Sumail could go in, use his entire mana pool and damage on these heroes, and they would just sit there.
Yeah, that's very possible. They're all pretty tanky, and they've got that early pipe.
Radiant are scanning.
Got to find some isolated targets here. Make some good smoke moves. Trying to abuse the Glimpse at extending your catch range. That is one mechanism that could pay off if TSM split on the map.
Are they going to split on the map, though?
I don't know.
The map is getting very small. They're pushed in all the lanes, so it's very easy to get from one lane to the other to keep it pushed in.
They don't have to split up too much, however. Scotty finished for Monet will... It will be the signal for Aster to try and find a glimpse here. They actually would have gotten one had they been in position. That's still one factor Aster have going for them. If you set the fight up in a way where Monet just gets to go toe-to-toe with Tomato, it's still a very good matchup for Terrorblade at this point with the Mantis gun. Like, you're going to sit there, you're going to burn the refraction, even if he's BKB'd. If he can't blink out, Tomato will melt pretty fast. That's the type of situation Aster want to set up. I just think that's an easier thing said than done.
Yeah, how do you get that fight without, you know, Ryle in the mix or the Elder Titan taking away all of your base armor?
There's a lot of things that can interrupt the Terrorblade in those small windows you might have to finish off the Templar Assassin, right? You get stomped, you get back, there's an illusion hitting you, somebody gets getting lassoed, there's a Timber Saw in your face. It's a lot to deal with, which is another reason I think TSM really want to push this window while they have it.
Yeah.
Get this next Roche, maybe just force any team fight Aster will give to them.
And if they don't manage to close it out, then you're fighting into an Aster who do have some pretty scary late game spells. They just have a lot of big team fight, right? Nice pullback in there. Catches him mid-force stab.
I think the 4th and 5th item on this Leshrac and Terrorblade is where Aster started to become scary, which it's a lot of gold. And it might be a while to get there. However, like you said, if the game gets stalled or you throw a high ground push or something, game can get very weird very fast.
So TSM got to be clean here.
Got a decent chance to close it out if you can win a couple more team fights. Vision is your best friend. And right now it's working for Aster as they see Ahri.
Dire's bottom tower.
Those traps are also seen a lot though, as Aster just walking over them again and again. Yeah, Sentry's got to go down here.
Stolen traps from Kaka. Not nearly as many of them, but some of them helping Aster control their side of the map as well. They'll get the push out. I mean, I think TSM really doesn't want to lose the fight right now as we're closing in on second Roshan.
Another big question for Aster is, can you protect your backline? I feel like their backline's just been getting routed way too early.
Right, which is more difficult when it comes to the Roshan fight, right? Easy when you're in a high ground situation.
Yes, when you chase into TSM, it gets really weird. The thing is, their lineup does kind of want to, like, they want to go into them with the glimpse.
Trying to catch Whitemon, quick ravage, that's going to catch him right away. So, already a 4 versus 5. TSM may still feel strong enough, though. A glimpse back into the Static Storm, caught Kasane as well. So this is quite good, especially if they can kill Kasane, take away those auras. Kasane turns around, throws out the backing wall.
Did not get the Terrorblade.
Did not get the Terrorblade, you're right. He does, okay, now he got the illusion. Monet accidentally bumps into it, but he targets it almost immediately, and it doesn't matter either way because TSM are just fully trying to get out. BKB going to be used by Tomato to get rid of that glimpse. He cannot afford to be pulled back in Aster. I mean, that was a loss for TSM, but it's a loss they can bear. They lose Tomato, it would be very bad.
They can afford it for sure. I mean, you get level 20 on Tomato, you're still looking for this next Roshan. However, that's the type of fight that Aster are looking for with the Vision, where you get the connection finally, right? The Ravage on a very nice target in basically catching both supports here because it forces Ahri to blink out. That's as good as catching the bat.
Sure.
Finish off the Elder Titan, so much team fight gone. And now you're in a position where you can glimpse people back into your control and line it up with the damage. Everything coming together here for Aster, gets him a big core kill and puts you in a position where you can win this fight. Still, the survivability from TSM is considerable. You get this Darkseer back off. If Monet didn't walk through the wall, I think he would have been happier. Something he has to consider in the future. So lasso a Tidehunter.
Pull him back in. They have TA trap to slow him as well. So the Kraken Shell will help. But it's only going to do so much against the 5-mana TSM. And they found a double damage right as Roshan is spawned. Timings aligning for TSM.
That is a damn good rune here. He's got Quiver on top of it. That's why those hits are hurting. You don't have armor on Tide right now. You got nothing. Tomato is just gonna 3 or 4 shot you. Silver Edge be damned. It is queued up here. If you get to that, you're even squishier. I don't think he needs the break, to be honest.
Glimpse back, potential kill on Ahri, but nobody was there to help him. Oh, maybe Kaka is. Telekinesis throw him back, uses that wall that he stole from last fight just to slow down Ahri to ensure they do get that pick off. TSM, a little bit of a slip up there.
Yeah, that's
Roshan is available.
That's not a kill you want to give up right now, because that is going to give Aster an opening to just smoke and run to the pit. It's exactly what's going to happen. Their Tidehunter is respawning. This is dire side Roche for 1 more minute. You have a DD, you're racing the clock. XXS is TPing to the defensive outpost, not the aggressive one. It's going to waste a little more time here from Aster.
Tomato can't do this fast enough. Aster will be here in the pit.
Remember, this is theoretically a very good position for TSM to fight in if Aster go into them. With the Darkseer back wall, some Elder Titan control, Aghanim Scepter on Bryle as well. His front line is absolutely online. There is no dispel for it outside of a Yules if Sumail can connect with it.
And they can stall this out long enough. The Bat Rider now rejoins them. So no longer a numbers advantage for Aster, but they're going to try and get the position advantage by re-smoking and perhaps wrapping around. No, they have to smoke up because Roshan is going to switch sides now.
You have to go through the gate or you give this up.
Yep.
Bold moves win games. Aster will take
Bryle's
the position.
already there. Bryle is going to set up with all of Aster showing up. He's already popped his reactive arm. Yules Scepter's going to be rid of that one. They have the Ravage to be able to control some of these heroes. And TSM funnel in, but a big splinter does land serious damage. And Bryle is still not dead. Sumail's limping away a sliver of HP, but he gets brought down by the TA. Who I think was even using the TA traps to get the side blade to wipe on. Oh, that's the illusion. Don't let it hit you. No! He goes down to the illusion ultimately. A pit of death or a high ground of death.
What
3
the hell
for
was
4.
That? I guess it works out for TSM. I don't know if either team was really expecting that, as they basically just instantly threw down everything on top of that hill. BKB for Tomato reigns supreme as he ignores most of it. Monet escapes. That's a consolation factor here. It's just tough to get locked in there with the Leshrac while all that's going down and you don't have the spell immunity of your own.
Yeah.
Bold moves win games, bold moves also backfire.
I mean, I think in this situation, it was Bryle's bold move. He went straight to that and said, if you guys are going to go through the portal,
I mean, that is,
I've got my Aghanim Scepter. You're going to have to use rules right away on me.
That's the correct play for sure. Like, the fact Bryle gets there before Aster on that hill saves that fight, right? If they're all there when he walks up, you might just be in a situation where you can instantly burst him, because then you don't have to Yules him to get rid of the shell.
Sure.
And he just dies. So, little timings here.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you Yules off the Aghanim Scepter active, he still gets all the reactive armor charges, which is super important.
He gets the charges and he's in the air for the 2.5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means TSM get to come in with Vax, with Stomps, with all this nastiness that's going to start getting pumped into the Leshrac.
That situation also meant they missed Ravage on it.
Yes. The Ravage is very awkward. Honestly, pretty hard to tell what it's even doing in that situation. End result, though, TSM do get that Roche. Wasn't how I envisioned it for them, but they get there. And that is Aegis plus Silver Edge completed for Tomato. He's had a perfect game so far, and he wants to use it to close this one out. This is the ultimate TA power spike right now. Can you finish Aster off? Can you get a lane? Can you get a fight?
TA trap slowing him down. Rod of Atos catching him.
There's a break.
Tidehunter is just going to be continually... Ooh, the pipe usage to make sure he can get a blink away despite the flame break dot, but he cannot get far enough away to slip out of TSM's sight.
This is just time. That's all you're getting out of this one. Do get this BKB on Sumail. That's a pretty big item in this game. And you have a Silver Edge on Monet as well, so he can kind of skirt in and start the fight on his own target if he wants to. Probably looking for supports. You take this Bat Rider and Elder Titan out, the fight opens up a lot for your other cores.
Radiant's middle tower.
I don't think you can really start on Bryle. I think he's just way too damn tanky. 4,000 HP for the cheese as well. And technically he doesn't have BKB. It just seems so damn hard. You gotta remember there's a pipe behind him, there's a Crimson behind him, there's 4 stabs. Tomato siege begins.
Dire structures are fortified.
As Aster, what do you do with this initiation? Silver Edge straight to the TA.
It's a lot of damage.
It was, but
so they got
really not scared of it. Yeah, they got the bat. That's a free pickoff right there. Great vacuum with the Ravage to be able to respond. Despite the vacuum, there wasn't a really good follow-up from the team, and they've now stolen Wall of Replica. Now they're going to back away from the BKB Tomato. They have to be careful of him. Looks like Sumail may be in some trouble. The pullback of the Chakram isn't quite enough, and another attempt to get him in the end. Bryle catches up to him.
Is it going to
cost him? He has the Timber Chain through the wall, and he'll get out. Glimpse back. Another attempt, another Timber Chain. He goes in, tries to go for Kaka, but he'll be denied for that. But the rest of his team did jump in and immediately killed Monet. They were so focused on the Timber Saw that Tomato saw his opportunity, jumped back in, and destroys Aster inside of their own base and gets a TP out. The buybacks will claim nothing. Well, hold it, they'll get Whitemon, but it's a far cry from what they wanted out of those buybacks. They needed a kill on Tomato there.
Triple buy for Aster, very costly, especially this Monet buy. And like you said, you don't even get Tomato out of that. He still has Aegis, by the way. Look at the damage, man. It is indeed Templar Assassin versus 5 here. That is not how TSM wanted that high ground fight to start. Ari, the poke is interesting. The poke did not end up working out as you just get glimpsed into a kinetic field, instantly die, basically no team fight impact. I think you lost your gem out of that as well. It's a successful hold for Aster, a very costly one. However, successful as you get through this second Aegis period. I do feel like this was a pivotal fight for TSM in terms of
look at the
TA
lined up
impact.
for side blades.
And this Sunder was crazy good for Monet. Unfortunately, Bryle has cheese, so it just pops him straight back up. Otherwise, I think that fight can go even better for Aster here, especially if Sumail lives. This Timber Chain is very necessary.
Watch Tomato see his opportunity, jump back in on a stun Terrorblade.
Well, we won't see him, Cap, because you're too slow.
What's that on me?
I don't know. I just put it on you.
25 Tomato. That is a Templar Assassin that just got a whole lot harder to deal with those refraction instances.
Yeah, just gonna time out here. This is as good as it gets for him.
Is under attack.
Like, this is where you really want to pound in the pain. Especially with no buyback on Monet. You find this Terrorblade again, you might just be able to go throne. Juke getting the vision. Very good ward if Aster can use it here.
Radiant are scanning.
Hurricane Pike
Radiant's bottom tower
trying to
is
play
under
the
attack.
distance against this Templar Assassin. So now when he gets jumped on by the TA, push him away. Scotty hit him,
Dire's
trying to
top
kite the
tower
TA a
is
bit
under
more.
attack.
I think if Monet can get this Satanic here, this game becomes pretty scary, right? I don't think your burst situations on him are as secure as they were before. I mean, if you ever have an ET on top of him, okay, he's gonna melt. There
Yeah,
goes
you're
your gem.
not going to be able to D-ward outside of your base. That's not going to work for you.
Yeah, that was an aggressive move. If they're not there, it's very valuable, but they are there. They do have another gem, so maybe Aster felt like it wasn't the biggest loss.
They don't have another life on the Disruptor, though.
That is also true. He's out for 60 seconds. Brow's going to poke their high ground. Almost level 25 himself. He gets like one more level off of one team fight. That unlocks a lot more scaling damage for TSM with the double chakram here.
Yeah, then he's really able to compete with Sumail when it comes to damage output.
Absolutely. And we got this Ags done for Kasane. So now you have Punch Up. It's another TB illusion you can create, a far more reliable one in case the first gets glimpsed.
I think all the fights that are good for Aster are when they kill Kasane with relatively low impact from him.
That has been a huge factor. They've locked this Darkseer down either in the Ravage or the Kinetic Field, and Monet has just bursted him. And you take a lot of these spells that are going to win TSM the long fights out of the engagement.
Ooh, trying to catch him, immediate response from Kaka with the telekinesis. Ari will pay the price once again for trying to intrude into the Aster base.
Those are hard goes. I know he has Aether Lens and Blink, and if you get that, maybe you just get a lane or a buyback out of it. The lift is going to be instant, right?
Yeah, you're pretty much relying on Aster to make a mistake.
I think even if you get the lasso off, you're not getting out there. It's a tough move.
Not the Bat Rider thinking about it. Oh, they've already broken the Tidehunter, though. He gets an Ogre Seal Totem away, but he's going to be cut down by Bryle. Now they got the Terrorblade illusion. Monet has to get out of here. He knows he has to deal with his own illusion, which is turned around onto Sumail and brings him to his knees.
Where is the answer for this illusion? Where is the glimpse?
Yeah, they gotta kill it instantly. I mean, you could see Monet, like, when he gets hit by it, whether it's the wall or the punch now, he instantly tries to deal with the illusion, but he can't kill it fast enough.
I mean, it messed Sumail up there for sure.
Yeah.
He did not like getting hit by that at all. That's gonna be your meta down. So if you're TSM, okay, you don't have Aegis here. You have that level 25 refraction talent though, and you have this invincible Timbersaw, who is XP off 25, just gets it. Yeah, you're going high ground, right? What is Monet's answer right now?
I will say, I think the correct play is definitely going high ground, but if they stay too long, Roshan is going to respawn. If you lose this fight off of some sort of glimpse situation,
that's very
and you
true.
give the Roshan to Aster, you will highly regret this move.
Okay, but how do you lose this fight? Surely it's impossible without meta.
Oh, you're really trying to curse TSM, aren't you?
Surely it's impossible. As Kaka says, the glimpses are not there, but Dagon will be there to kill this Terrorblade that's killing my Leshrac.
Got the lasso on Kaka, but they need a Ravage in response. They're going to go for the Terrorblade, who's already broken, but he pops the BKB and start putting the damage back out. He's going to get the distance. Nice vacuum to try and catch Aster as they're trying to reset a little bit. Tomato's stuck inside the base here. Uh-oh. Yule Scepter into a stun with the, good stomp. Whitemon may have just helped Tomato. They're going to get the force staff down to the low ground, and he's okay. They might have been able to finish him off in that small window of time, but a beautiful stomp from Whitemon.
He was definitely in trouble. Gems on the ground here, wall out. I think TSM are happy to get out of here without losing anybody. Again, like you said, you drop Tomato there, then you're in a situation where you have to buy him back to contest the Roshan, and meta would be up for that fight. Another pretty successful base defense from Aster. Okay, you're bleeding out some net worth here, but it's a very tough position. Double damage in the river. They see this on the ward.
Now, they are going for this contest without Ravage, but a DD is enough to swing things for sure.
It's too tempting. I mean, Monet's got Divine on his mind right here.
Yeah, he knows. We are in a do or die scenario. Start setting up for that Roshan. Scythe of Ice complete for the Timber Saw. We've got the Dagon you were talking about to try and deal with the TB Illusion Steel.
Dealing with the Terrorblade Illusions is a big factor of Aster's team fight. It's also the buybacks here. This is Radiant side Roche with Radiant Outpost. You have a Templar Assassin buyback, you have a Darkseer buyback. Those are two very big ones you have to cut through twice if you're Aster. It's not as simple anymore as you just jump the Darkseer, burst him, and that fight looks good for you. He's just coming straight back. You're also just trying to get to this Divine for Monet. He is not too far away. He's like 1,000 off. You could sell treads here too. He might do it. Oh, he has it. So this is going to be a disassembled Divine. He's going to assemble it in the fight, pop a double damage rune, and just go to town and pray to the heavens that it is enough, because this is basically all in for Aster. No
20 seconds
here.
left for a Ravage. This is going to be forced without it. It's looking like.
Tomato's just doing Roche.
Yeah, they can't get inside the pit to be able to get some vision. They're just going to have to blindly go in their reflection to get some ideas.
Double damage popped.
Tower is under attack.
You try and man up for this. If you're
You
Monet,
really want to use this timer, and they've got the Ravage up. Time to go if you want to use the DD. They've got the initiation. They're going to go for the Terrorblade. Can they actually get there in time? The CA controlled up, but it's so hard. The Terrorblade's taking too much damage. He gets off the Sunder, but the initiation has been ruined. Monet tries to do what he can, but it's never going to be enough. They needed the cleanest initiation you could ask for, but TSM Bryle ran in there. Him and Ari completely interrupted Aster's attempt.
such a clutch hex by Bryle. There was a flame bake from Ari into the hex on the Terrorblade. He never got to hit this Templar Assassin once during that Ravage Tendril lockdown. That has been the bane of Aster this entire game. Can you line the disables up with the damage? You had the damage, you had the disable, but you didn't have them together. Might just win TSM the game here, as you do not have buybacks on anybody here for Aster. That was your all-in. It ended up being everything into Tomato's pocket as he'll go to base because he has an Axe and he can come straight back.
Yeah, even if TSM take their sweet, sweet time hitting every single building in the Dire base, they have taken a huge net worth away from Terrorblade in that Divine Rapier. And so, Aster, I'm not sure what they're going to be waiting for here. They think they can somehow hold this. I don't see how it's even possible.
They're just watching their Terrorblade's net worth demolish their own buildings.
Yeah.
As Tomato put on a Templar Assassin clinic here, 10-0 and 14. He'll force the GG out of him. Just a perfect game. He never got touched in the laning phase. None of the rotations ever went to that bottom side. They invaded the triangle once with the Leshrac, scouted those stacks, but were never able to contest them. the fact that Templar Assassin was level 13 or 14 at almost like the 15-minute mark is just disgusting. And then you're getting every Roshan on top of it. No answer in sight. Okay, you have Terrorblade matchup. What's it doing for you if you can't hit him? Really good itemization and team fighting from TSM all around. A couple of slip-ups here and there trying to go for these aggressive lassos. Didn't cost you too much though. And in the end, TSM get another 1-1.
A third tie in this group stage and a sixth tie in the tournament so far for TSM. And a much needed one at that, as in this group stage, they received a couple of losses and were there at the bottom. But fortunately, this will put them back in a striking distance of being in that 5th, 6th area to try and stay in the tournament outside of the group stage. A very, very important win for TSM, both for their score and I think in general just moving forward in this tournament.
Yeah.
Both, strategy and confidence, right?
I mean, morale, mentality,
yeah,
for the NA region as a whole. It's big in a lot of ways, and
they have
also
some tough opponents ahead of them too. They still have to face BBT, which is a rough one, but then they also have to face up against Tundra, who is struggling as well, and they could just push Tundra down into that elimination spot and carry themselves up, sparing their own lives.
This was a big win. Like you said, you take the 1-1 off Aster, who are basically doing the best at this tournament. You should be very happy with that, especially when it's a game to win. That feels better than the game 1 win and you lose, because then at least you can carry the momentum into the next series here. Moon seems pretty content with how they played that game. I think it was pretty much to a T on how their lineup wanted to function. Just take a lot of the early mid-game skirmishing, get the TA super jacked, and then abuse the fact that Aster's only answer to him is the Terrorblade. But they can't line that up. It's way harder than it sounds. I think in the Ultra Late, you get a Swift Blink on Terrorblade. That game looks different, but you never got there.
All right, we're going to go to the stage where we've got Tsunami and Bryle ready to go with an interview after the tie.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm standing wide with Bryle of TSM. Bryle, congratulations on another tie, as seems to be the case for you guys. Game 1 was a roller coaster, and I have to imagine mentally gathering yourself after that, coming into this game, was there anything specific that you were thinking about in this end game situation to be like, just be cool?
Yeah, I think the last 5 games we played, I think we've suffered a lot as a team. I think we are regressing a lot in terms of progress, and we really wanted to find out why are we regressing, and we wanted to do the opposite. Why are we not winning? We're trying to look at our losses like at a neutral level, where we don't blame the draft or whatever, and then we simply just say stuff happens, some random stuff happens in the game. And the games we played today, I think we go in the mindset of we're just going to show the world the best that we could play and see what happens,
أعزائي المشاهدين، معنا برايل زي ما شايفون قدامكم. سألناه السؤال الأول بعد ما طلع من المباراة هذه في تاي مرة ثانية، وهذا مو من المرة الثانية صراحة، المرة الرابعة والخامسة في مبارياتهم معنا في رياض ماسترز دائما تكون فيها تاي. سألناه السؤال الأول إنه إيش كنتم تسوون عشان تطلعون من المنتل ستيت اللي كنتم موجودين فيها بعد ما خسرتوا الأقيام أو بعد ما تخسرون الأقيام بعض الأحيان تفوزون. كان الجواب بكل اختصار يقول انه صراحه بعض الاحيان يصير عندك راندوم ثينجز هابن، يعني اشياء عشوائيه بالكامل ما نقدر نتحكم فيها داخل الجيم، هي اللي تسبب اننا بعض الاحيان نخسر، لكن نحاول ندخل كل جيم اننا ما نفكر بالشيء هذا ونركز فقط على نقطه انه احنا جايين عشان نلعب واحنا جايين عشان نحاول نفوز، ونحاول نستكشف وش الشيء اللي يخلينا نفوز وش الشيء اللي يخلينا نخسر.
I appreciate the candidness. So seeing a regression here, obviously that means that you had progressed over the past few months. Time off, whether you liked it or not during Bali, what was something that you were proud of that your team was able to develop over the past 2 or 3 to now?
We didn't qualify to Bali, and I was like, I opened Instagram and I looked at the player stories. Wow, it was really cool to be there, But at the end, I was actually grateful because I think it was actually really beneficial for us if it didn't qualify to Bali, because we were able to grind more as a team, as players, and to me, it was just like the top 3 teams of that tournament, they were already qualified to TI, right? And it was pretty much just some vacation major, like some paradise island, To me, it felt that way. So I was like, I'm grateful to not go to Bali, So I'm gonna keep grinding.
سألنا السؤال الثاني البرايل على موضوع ايش اللي صار في البالي ميجر بعد ما تأهلوا فيه وما كانوا متواجدين. هل الشيء هذا استفادوا من الوقت حقهم واعطاهم فرصة انهم يقدرون يتدربون بشكل اكثر؟ كان جوابه باختصار انه صراحة انا كنت اتابع الناس في السوشيال ميديا بكل اختصار، انه بالذات في الانستغرام اشوف الناس مبسوطة هناك، كان ودي اني اكون معهم، بس في نفس الوقت انا فخور بالوقت اللي قضيته مع الفريق لان تدربنا اكثر وتحسن مستوانا اكثر. واصلا يعني حتى يعني اغلب الفرق اللي موجودين التوب 3 اللي كانوا موجودين هناك كانوا اوريدي متأهلين للتي اي، فبيكون عندهم فرصة هم اصلا انهم يتدربون وياخذون الوضع كفيكيشن. كان ودي اني انا الشيء هذا اخليه لي انا ايضا، لكن في نفس الوقت انا ما تحسفت ابدا اني ما رحت البالي ميجر وقدرت اني اركز مع الفريق ان نتدرب ونتحسن.
So that was your attitude opening up Instagram, but how about opening up the stream? How was knowing that your TI fate wasn't really in your hands for like the past month?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool, but at the same time, I wasn't too worried about it because at the same time, even if the teams, like the 4 teams that qualified, right, and we didn't make through, I think I was still ready to play TI quals. But the fact that it was pretty cool that, because the time zone, in my time, it was like 12 a.m. they were playing, and I just woke up and I saw like the Liquid Period page and like, oh cool, I qualified, you know. But at the same time, I was ready to play qualifiers.
سألنا آخر سؤال البرايل على موضوع إيش اللي صار معهم بعد شعوره إذا هو كان يتابع البث المباشر وإنه يشوف إنه تأهلوا للتي آي ما يعتمد على لعبهم هم، يعتمد على مين اللي بيتأهل من البالي ميجر ومين اللي بيقدر يكون كواليفايد أصلاً. فكان الشعور هذا يعني ما هو الأفضل بالنسبة له، وكان عنده الفرصة إنه يعني يلعب الكواليفايرز حق التي آي حتى لو إنه ما كان عنده الفرصة إنه يتأهل بالنتائج حقة البالي ميجر. كل حالتين هو يقدر إنه يتعامل مع الكواليفايرز بدون أي مشكلة.
I respect the hustle, Bryle. I respect the grind. Best of luck moving forward, and I'll let you take your seat and gather your stuff as you get ready for the next series.
يعطيكم العافية أعزائي المشاهدين. الآن راح نروح للاستوديو تحليل نتكلم أكثر عن إيش صار في المباراة الثانية اليوم.
It's not all that bad, Fancy. You take a little bit of time off here and there, able to regain your thoughts. It works the best.
Exactly. Like it's not always about winning. It's about knowing where you can improve and where you can get better at the game. And this is exactly what the guys at TSM are doing. فعشان كذا TSM متحمسين لهم. ممكن هم الآن هم في الباتن بالجروب حقهم، لكن الفوز هذا بيساعدهم إنهم يمكن يطلعون معنا للplayoffs. I'm actually waiting to see if TSM can actually make it to the playoffs. They still have a little bit of a chance to actually do it.
Well, then let's get this train moving, my friend. Let's move into series number 3 as we pass it back to the studio.
الجيم الثالث بيبدأ الآن على طول مع الاستديو.
And yes, we are moving forward here. First gonna break the game down though before we get into our third series of the day, but TSM taking a game of Aster here, TSM doing their name justice a little bit here. And in fantastic fashion, it was very cool to see the way they were able to take the fights, especially after the draft where we said maybe there is a chance, Faith Beyond, that TSM is gonna have a lack of damage, but that didn't turn out to be the case at all.
Yeah, I mean a great game for TSM, and when we watched the game, I always hoping the Terrorblade Power gonna own this game, but it's not. The fact turned out I'm a stupid one, right? And Effie is very smart, and yeah, I mean TSM have a very good draft. ET and Darkseer just own the team fight.
I think this game really showcased Elder Titan's power as a hero because, yeah, we saw Timbersaw popping off, we saw TA popping off, but the reason that they were able to do so was just that amplification aura, that natural order from ET. It does so much. I think TSM's draft came together so nicely. And yeah, Aster won the laning stage. The last Shrek did its job in that it beat Timbersaw mid, and Terrorblade had a great lane top lane, but Bryle was able to get back into the game because of TSM's mid rotations, right? They brought the ET over, and with the aura, they were able to kill the last Shrek the first time, and then they brought the Darkseer over for the tower defense. They were able to get another vac wall combination and kill the last Shrek again. And after that, TSM were just able to out-skirmish Team Aster for the entirety of that game.
Watching TSM yesterday, I thought they were freaking done. Like, everything looked discombobulated all over the place, like just 5 different things going on at once. They did not have an identity in their draft. And even if they had not won this game, I was incredibly impressed with their reel back. Like we saw what Bryle said, he's like, we looked at our losses, tried to be as objective as possible. And even if you're saying it's not just the draft, you still do need to make the proper adjustments in like, what is our identity? What is gonna make us work as a team? And there was so much more synergy in their draft, so much more like, oh, I really like that pick. I can see what they're going for today. And I hope to see that moving forward. I think today redeemed them for me.
For sure, and improvement is what we look for in teams like this, especially during a group stage with so many games at the same time. And there are chances to bounce back for them as well, so this is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, there were a lot of fights that we would love to analyze as our STC play. And we definitely flip-flopped a lot between the fights that we could choose. But this is the one we ended up with, Faith Beyond. This was mostly a really cool play coming out from TSM as they tried to go high ground against Aster.
Yeah, I mean, this fight is really close. I think Aster here is a great Ravage, and Aster also Terrorblade got a great Thunder, and he dodged the ET's ultimate. I think they already, maybe they can win this fight, but Timado just played so well at this point.
Yeah, I think this is really sloppy execution from TSM, actually. Their ability to go high ground, but this is awesome by Tomato. He salvages the fight, right? Flinks into their base, gets the triple kill, and TP's out. I would say, oops, spoiler alert, but we all just watched the game, right? But definitely play of the day for me. Just really nice to see Tomato showcasing what he's made of.
He is the second carry today to not get a single death to his name. Of course, we had Monet in the game before this, but Tomato showing... I mean, Tomato gave the credit after game number 1. He's like, Monet, tip, hats off. You can do it, but then he does it right back, Brian. I mean, as a carry player, that must feel really good, games like that.
I think this is so important for their confidence. I could see a lot of plays from them where they felt rushed, and that's something that happens when you've lost a lot of games in a row. You start to try to overcompensate. It's very hard to avoid the nerves you have when you're like, what is it going to take for us to finally win a game, especially after game 1 where it looks like there were moments that they were going to take it, and Tomato just clutching it. I mean, high props to him as the carry player. It's your job to finish the game, and he did just that.
Yeah, he did that, and he earns the Quidia MVP because Tomato played fantastic. He gets the Quidia MVP here from us. And it's not just based on this game that we just witnessed, and we do think that he played really well, not dying a single time, indeed clutching it out in the fight that we highlighted earlier, but also the first game of the series, his hero gets picked first phase, and still the game was incredibly close, and he still got a lot of work done with his Terrorblade, even if his team did not end up winning that game in particular, Faith Beyond. Tomato still very well deserved MVP.
Yeah, Tomato is a very skilled player, and another thing is you have your team hope on your side.
Yeah.
So also lots of pressure on your side, so he can still perform so well, and that's very impressive.
And to be able to build your draft around your player, your carry player, knowing that he's going to carry you, that's so important and vital to have, because like Faith Yan said, his team's hopes are always on his shoulders, but that makes it so that the team can play around him even better. Like these rock stable type of carries like TA2000 in Quest and Tomato on TSM really make the teams worth watching.
Yeah, TSM has got that work cut out for them though, because Aster only was opponent number 1 for them today, and Aster was the top of the group before they started this matchup, but they have to face another top of their group because BB Team is waiting in the wings for TSM for their final series of the day. We'll see later on, of course, how that one goes, because there's loads of games going on. There are 4 series, 4 streams, and these were the ones that were going on at the same time as ours, and they have all finished by now. So Team Liquid was able to get a 2-0 over Tundra. Shopify and Team Secret tied the series up in a 1-1, and BB Team solidified their top slot in Group B by 2-0ing Talon, who was before the series. They were all tied. Aster, Talon, and BB Team were all tied 6-2. And after this, it's only BB Team that is left with the win. So they get an 8-2 and top their group once more, only having that hiccup yesterday against Team Secret. And if you want to have the full breakdown of how Team Secret beat BB Team, you should tune in. Well, you can probably look back the opening show that we had this morning, where Purge gave a great breakdown of how that happened. I'm also curious to find out some of the vibes that are happening in the player lounge, so let's check in with Jenkins.